bars on Mondays for the last 22 years. 22 years.
That's
it's
incredible.
Been a long run for myself.
Yeah.
Manuch has been with me for the last 18.
God bless you. Incredible.
Yep. And but he won't be here tonight. He's got his kids, so he's got to work, whatever. But anyway, we'll
miss
be
me.
here.
I know you'll miss me. Right?
No, we won't. Jackson and I will have a good time.
There you go.
What we are going to be doing this year, which is new, is we have a sports book. And we're going to have some fun with this sports book to the point where there's going to be opportunities for you to win some cash in all our contests. And then you're going to be able to use that cash directly into the sports book if you like. I mean, we're not promoting you to gamble, but
advocating.
But you will have the cash in your hand to do it.
Totally up to you.
And it was, from me. So tonight's spread 6.5 minus 6.5 for the Broncos. And again, that game will get started around 5:20. We are open now, but everything really gets going right when the game gets started. But let's dive right into it. What is the main story this hour?
Time for the top local and national stories of the hour. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's no better place in the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
I think most of you would agree the Cards were going to lose that game to Kansas City, but not in this way. We didn't feel it was going to happen 5 touchdowns by Patrick Mahomes. Just a total rout where it kind of made you think you're back in January and you're watching the Los Angeles Rams dominate this team.
Yes.
It kind of, you 7-0, then it's 14-0, and the way that they scored right away, and then the second time they get the ball, they do it again, and then, it's 21-7 at one point, and it's like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, well,
check, please.
Yeah, 23-7.
Close my tab, and I left the bar.
Yeah, interesting. I'd say the word I'd call is they were decimated by the Kansas City Chiefs in all facets. You looked at this running game, passing game, defense, pressure, 23-7. Basically, you get a field goal from you get an extra point from a guy that's your strong safety with Reed, and then your kicker comes in, gets you a field goal at the end of the first half. You're right, Rock. It was like, unless this offense can show anything, absolutely anything, coming into the second half, they got the ball in the second half, and they couldn't move, plus a turnover, plus the sacks, plus the pressure, decimated, dominated, debacle, whatever you want to call, totally outcoached, outplayed, just not ready.
I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
Embarrassed?
Yeah, embarrassed. Unprepared. On top of that.
Were they exposed?
Oh, absolutely. In every venue you can imagine. I mean, I think Andy Reid, I think what I'm starting to see, this is my opinion, guys, is that Vance Joseph.
Well, it's not mine because you're talking.
Yeah, well, Vance Joseph is getting exposed in these big games with these top teams. This is 6 out of the last 7 games they've lost.
6 consecutive at State Farm.
State Farm, exactly. So you're seeing Super Bowl teams, divisional teams, whatever you want to call them, that are those high-potent offenses, and Vance Joseph really doesn't have an answer whatsoever with these offenses coming at him every which way but loose.
All right, I'll be the deliverer of good news. It's just game 1 of the NFL season. We still have the rest of the season to play. Now, with that being said, it was freaking deplorable. It was disgusting. It was one of the worst performances since the Rams' performance that I have seen from a team that looked like they had not been on the field, Rock. They have not been on the field.
Well, they haven't.
That's my point.
It was kind of a carbon copy of what we saw towards the tail end of last year.
And that's what I was trying to say, guys.
They haven't been on the field.
No improvement.
Where was the improvement from last year? We all talked about in the offseason. Who have you added to help improve this team? You got Chandler Jones is gone. You got Christian Kirk is gone. You've got guys, key pieces that are gone. What'd you do to fill it in? Okay. You got Hollywood Brown and got a couple other guys.
They didn't even target him.
It's amazing. Well, they targeted like 5 times. He had 4 catches total, but they never drove the ball down the field with Hollywood Brown like I thought they would.
Yeah.
Take those shots. But I looked at this and just kind of went, okay, if you were improved and you were doing what you need to do to improve physically, mentally, all the above, and then for your head coach to say we need to practice better, Well, you're not playing in a preseason games. What the hell are you doing?
There you go.
With practice. Are you not being physical enough for practice? Are you not studying enough? You have the wrong game plans. Can you not use your defensive coordinator? Is he not able to adjust? We know that Cliff Kingsbury is very hard for him to adjust on any kind of game plan.
Did we, this all, you talk about the offseason, Manuch, in regards to what we talked about. And I think we talked about the secondary, that they need to improve in the secondary. Well, they got torched. 5 of the Chiefs' 6 touchdowns were in the air. Okay, so they got torched there. We talked about the offensive line and how they need to improve there. And Murray was running all day long. I mean, he was
Pressure.
only 3 sacks, by the Chiefs, but he was always just on the move. Just, it seemed like that was a problem.
Especially Rock on the 4th downs. 0 for 4 on 4th downs. He was harassed and were sacked.
One
to throw it away.
One narrative that has always been there for at least the last 2-3 years on both sides of the ball is the tight end position. They cannot seem to defend a tight end. Travis Kelce, 121 yards, got that first touchdown, 8 receptions. Even Jody Fortson, he caught a touchdown. You can actually put some more salt in the wound there, right?
There you go.
And then on the other side, not using any of their tight ends, they draft one and he gets a 2nd-round pick. And McBride, and he's a healthy scratch.
Yes.
What's up with that?
Well, they played Ertz, and the Stevenson kid were the 3 tight. Yeah, exactly. He must have been a healthy scratch, which tells me he was not healthy. If you've got your number 1 pick overall as your 2nd rounder, something was wrong. And then you go to Zach Ertz till the end of the game. I'm like, you're Rock. I'm like, where's Zach? Yeah. And Williamson's in there blocking, but they're passing him as far as exposing the Chiefs' defense with Zach Ertz. I don't know. Maybe he was only 75, 80% with that ankle. That's the only thing I could think of.
All right, so we talked about the secondary.
Okay.
We talked about the offensive line.
Okay.
We talked about the tight end. Let's throw the linebackers in there. A lot of conversation was Zaven Collins, was Isaiah Simmons. I mean, Simmons is the 8th-round pick overall just a couple years ago, and he has 3 tackles?
He's chasing Travis Kelce on every play. Every time Kelce got out into the pattern, Isaiah Simmons is 3 steps behind.
Simmons, 8th pick overall a couple years ago, not 8th-round pick.
No, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, but I think that I agree with you guys. I think one of the things that really, he cannot cover.
No.
They've got him. He's not going to be able to cover slot guys or tight ends. He can cover running backs, stay inside, put pressure. You've got to use him, I think, bring in the pressure or be able to handle running backs. We saw it. He covered Juju one time. Juju faked him out of his shoes, couldn't cover Kelce. And to that point, I think they've got him playing out of position again. And they've got to make some adjustments with that. But again, you had Harlow, who had to come in and start for Pugh. Pugh couldn't start, game time decision. So you have Justin Pugh's out, and you basically have got Harlow coming in as that left guard. You have DJ Humphreys, and then you have Will Hernandez. And the other thing, too, guys, no continuity. Again, when you're not playing just a little bit in preseason or practicing more than just bump and run and at practice, you got to have some continuity with that offensive line. So Pugh can't go. Ertz seems like he's about 75, 80%. Max Williams looks okay. Yeah, I'm like you. Where was the young guy? Where was the kid?
Yeah.
The kid that can run all day, all night long. Where was you're technically your first pick of the 2022 draft?
There are a lot of upset Cardinal fans today.
I don't blame
There were
I
a
don't
ton
blame
yesterday. I had a lot of friends that went to the game.
Yeah.
And then this morning, of course, the water cooler with a bunch of my buddies. You're all, Cardinal fans today, and they're just scratching their head. I think they all, if they were in a suicide pool, they weren't taking the Cardinals to win.
No,
just not to lose this poorly.
I think we really expected. So I'm like you guys. I picked the Chiefs to win. Like
everybody
not like
did.
that. But I mean, not like by 20-some points. I mean, I think the Cardinals, their defensive adjustments. But guys, we wondered how much was it going to hurt when you don't have your Hicks in there, middle linebacker, and your Chandler Jones in there, and key pieces of the puzzle last year that were very smart. I saw a lot of guys out of position, a lot of guys with blown coverages, a lot of misdirection. Heck, you saw the one defensive guy get picked when the running back comes out of the backfield wide open on 4th down at the very end of the first half. He's wide open. He got picked out of position, just totally out-coached, unprepared. And maybe next year, guys, they learned to play a little bit, not a lot, a little bit in preseason.
Remember what our conversation was all last week when all 3 of us were together? Well, this game will tell us about Andy Reid, who did play his starters in the preseason,
sure did.
and the Arizona Cardinals, who didn't play anybody in the preseason.
Even the national shows were beating him up a little bit about today.
Yep.
And Kyler Murray signed the big contract, and this is what happens on game one.
You know, we were doing on Friday, we were having a little fun, Rock, about the over-under when Tony Romo would mention about the contract, and he was starting to get into it there at the very opening of the game, and they went into something else. He was going to talk about the homework clause and the new contract. He had to stop as he was waiting for the official to make a call early, like the first or second play when the Cardinals had the ball. And there it is in the opening comments by Tony Romo talking about this game.
Well, that's been something everybody's been talking about, so that was expected.
But he wanted to hit that, I think, initially just to kind of set the tone, and he finally got to like midway through the second half.
Hey, it's a React Monday here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B here on Fox Sports 910, coming to you from Casino, Arizona, the CAZ Sports Bar for tonight's Monday night game. So what are your concerns? Is there a word that describes this loss? 602-260-9191. Love to get your thoughts. React Monday here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910. Early, not that bad. I mean, 22 of 34, 193 yards and 2 touchdowns.
But you made a good point earlier when you said he was running for his life a lot.
Yeah, Rudy Carpenter is coming on today, and he made a statement, I would say months ago on our program, said, it seems like Kyler's always just stressed.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like that he is just
anxious,
and he's just stressed, and the pressure on him and he runs around with his head chopped off.
Well,
sometimes.
you look at 22 completions for only 193 yards. It was a 5.7 yard average, a lot of underneath stuff. I think it all started, guys, after after they defer for the kickoff and, Kansas City goes right down the field and scores, and you come out and you can't even get lined up right, your opening play with the game, and you come out and, you almost run the clock down. You got a lot of guys that are getting and they get an offside legal procedure, very first play of the game, Rock, and they get it. It's penalty. You got 8 months. You can't get lined up properly for your very opening play of the game. All of a sudden, it's first down and 15, and you're going backwards. At that point, you knew it might be a long game for this offense, but there was really, really no continuity. I didn't know. It looked like they wanted to come out and throw, and then they wanted to run. All of a sudden, you get down 14 zips, so you abandon the run. Then you get a couple of fourth downs that you're negated at, and then some third downs. I mean, it just started to compile. But again, Cliff Kingsbury has no answer or adjustments in his game to just control the clock, get some first downs, keep your defense off the field, because guys, by the midway through that third quarter, they were gassed.
Yep.
Now, there wasn't a chance they were going to get back into it. And I know that Vance Joseph was running a lot of guys in and out, but secondary coverage and then just not being prepared on both sides of the ball, what sticks out for me watching this game yesterday.
Do you think that they missed Tyreek?
May I have a call? Give me a second.
Who's that?
Do you think
they missed Tyreek Hill?
Yeah. You think they missed him at all?
I think that Patrick Holmes was motivated to show.
I agree with that.
They don't miss him. Yeah, they're going to miss him. Absolutely. He's a home run hitter.
Yeah.
But when you got Juju Schuster and
Scantley
and those guys, and then you got guys coming out of the backfield, your running backs. You look at Scantley,
all right, guys, Justin
McKinnon and Hardman. I mean, I think he was like, okay, nothing against you, T. Hill, but we're going to show you what this offense works without you.
602-260-9191 React Monday. Justin in Phoenix to get us started off. Justin, what's going on, man? How are you today?
I'm doing great, guys. How y'all doing?
Good, man. So, how you describe what you saw yesterday?
So the word I want to use is inevitable, and the reason why is because of all the BS that happened in the off season. Kyler won his money, them not believing in him, saying he needs to step up his practicing game and be focused on the season and his teammates, and they just weren't prepared. Cliff Kingsbury met his match with Andy Reid. That's what a real team with real talent does, is they blow you out at home. And it was just inevitable, man, because of everything that happened.
Can it be fixed?
I don't think so. I mean, J.J. Watt can be healthy. If Isaiah Simmons learns how to, cover somebody, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Manuch, I don't know if Kingsbury's the man.
It's hard to cover Travis Kelce. Trust me.
But still. No, I know, Justin. I feel your pain there. Justin, thanks for the phone call, man. Appreciate it. 602-260-9191. React Monday as inevitable.
It's a good word.
I mean, there's some truth to that.
Sure
I think we knew going in that this was it's inevitable.
Yeah.
From what has been talked about, what we've seen in the offseason, the lack of what we didn't see in preseason. It's all coming to fruition.
It's interesting. Inevitable, ... So what'd you expect? I could see that with Justin going, hey, here, look at all this drama surrounding this team and this lack of physicality and this lack of preparedness and all the above. And it's a good word, because I think we all just were very curious. And I know we talked about intrigue to watch how this team played without, I call it Camp Cupcake, going on for almost 4 or 5 weeks, and then not having those guys out there. And Jimmy, you talked about it. You let the Chiefs, they're out there. They had 2 or 3, maybe 4 drives, maybe 5 at the most that they had in preseason with the 3 weeks.
Right.
And Andy Reid, he's been a proponent of that forever. When he was with, matter of fact, that goes way back to when he was an assistant with the Green Bay Packers, and then he was a head coach at Philadelphia, and then now with the Kansas City Chiefs, the 10 years he's been there, that's been a part of their staple to make sure that they win that first game of the year, whether it's at home or on the road. And basically for Patrick Mahomes, that's his 4th win in a row. Starters, first year was rookie year, didn't play, but that's the way the tone, and that you look at Andy Reid setting that tone for his team to make sure that those are the kind of things that you need coming out of the chute.
I think it'll be interesting to see this team, how they can rebound in Las Vegas. There are a lot of Cardinal fans that are making that trip. First chance to see this new stadium.
Yep.
I was going to go. I was looking forward to maybe going, and then I'm like, it's the Raiders.
Las Vegas, though, Rock.
You can always go to Las Vegas.
It's Rock Vegas.
No, I am not a Vegas guy, but and then you got the Rams right after that. So there's a good chance if they don't turn this around quick. I know Jimmy B says it's game 1.
Yeah,
but it's not like they just lost by a field goal or a touchdown. They got destroyed.
Yeah, they got hammered.
Look, I really felt, guys, that, and we all said this, we all picked Kansas City to win the game. But we all three have played. Somebody's got to win and somebody has to lose.
Yeah.
But when you get absolutely dominated and destroyed in your building in front of a packed house, that's the absolute worst. That's the worst.
And when they came out and you scored 0 points in that third quarter, you allowed them to score 14 in that third quarter, even though you didn't turn the ball over, fortunately, besides the sacks, even though Connor the fumble got it back, thankfully, it could have been worse. You just know the adjustments. You always look at the third quarter. When you're down 23-7, you're going, okay, we got to make some stops. Well, KC comes right back out and scores 2 more touchdowns. And at that point, Rock, to yours, it's pretty much game, set, match. And then I call it garbage points at the end of the game. You get 14 in the fourth quarter. It's pretty much game, set, match. But you've got to, you've got a team in Las Vegas that, they lost a divisional game.
Yep.
They got to win coming up. Rock, you talked about the Rams, depending on how they do this weekend, and you got the Cardinals having the following weekend. They want to make sure that they get righted, that ship gets righted, so they don't get behind the 8 ball. And I don't know if I've ever seen the NFC West where all 4 teams, except maybe Seattle, so you got 3 now that have lost. So hell, Seattle beats Denver. They're the lead in the NFC West if that happens. So it's teams don't want to get too far behind the 8 ball early on in the season. You don't want to lose 2 in a row.
Hey, our State 48 Roofing, it's your call question of the day. We do it every day here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. What was the most disappointing aspect of yesterday's loss? Was it the inept defense, inept offense, the team was unprepared, or bad coaching? So inept defense or offense or team was unprepared and bad coaching. Those are your 4 choices. Go to our Twitter page at Roc and Manuch. We're also video streaming on our Twitter page at Roc and Manuch, as well as our YouTube page. Just search Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, and you'll find it there. But that's our State 48. It's your call question of the day. You can always head to state48roofing.com.
Andy Reid, just watching that offense and go up and down the field, different formations, the motions, the counteractions, the picks, the legal picks, supposedly, that you see and watching him, man, he's the maestro. He's always been great, but just watching him, what he did with this defense yesterday, I guess I sat back and just admired guys not open, but wide ass open. And then to watch big time. I mean, seriously,
it really felt like Patrick Mahomes had his first team in a preseason game and in the fourth quarter. Against a team that's got all his backups.
I'm going to tell you what I thought.
Point, Rock.
It would have felt like the first 2-3 series.
I thought that the Chiefs were in mid-season form.
I would agree.
See that
That's
too.
how good they look.
I would agree with that. And Patrick Mahomes, it's just funny when you hear him talking the pressers afterwards, like he talked with the gal there on CBS. Said, "Hey, look, I'm so motivated. Nobody thought I could play in this league." You heard that from a guy named Tom Brady coming out, a 5th, 6th round pick. Always wanted to prove that. So that came out again when he says that verbally over, hey, nobody, picked me to come out of Texas Tech and be a top NFL quarterback. Hey, I'm just here to do the best I can. Those kind of games, national TV with the big boys in town broadcasting.
And with that being said, Manuch, for them, it didn't happen here, but in other markets, because that was the game of the week with the top dogs with Romo and Nance, they went to another game.
Yeah.
That never happens.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And I'm sure the big boys were like, how did we get stuck with this game?
I think a lot of the hype was the whole Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, there's some great storylines going into this.
Great storyline, and Kingsbury coaching them, but whatever. But I think but they did harp on the thing with reference to the whole preseason and lack of preseason that the Cardinals showed. They did beat. I'm glad Romo hit that and beat that because that really reared its ugly head in that game yesterday.
Well, it's here. It's our 22nd year of hosting Monday Night Football at Casino Arizona. We call it Monday Night Tailgate. If you've been with us for the last 18 years, it used to be called Showroom Football, where we give away cash and prizes We do it in a lot of ways, but one way is our jackpot, our kickoff jackpot. The way that works, we put your name in a hopper, pull your name out, and we give you $1 a yard. So if they run it back to 50, we give you $50 cash. If they run it back for a touchdown and the conversion's good, I'm going to give you the jackpot, which is a progressive jackpot, which will start at $100 today. We've had that thing up to $4 or $5 grand. So we'll have that today. We're also doing squares. You'll get 2 sets of squares that don't cost you anything. $25 a square. We're doing props. $25 a prop. The way that works, same thing. Pull your name out. If first rushing touchdown, pull a name out, boom, Jax, you just won $25. It's that easy. Next week, we'll do football bingo. So this week it's props. Next week will be football bingo. We do it all. And halftime, we have bags going. It's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a great place to watch the game, great drink specials, food specials, it's here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. And just to put a cherry on top, Sportsbook now, a Sportsbook, which is going to be interesting because you can now bet in the game. In other words, you'll be right here. If you haven't downloaded an app or anything like that, you'll be able to come down here and use that sports book, which is just going to be huge. So that is here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. So what does Rudy Carpenter think about yesterday's loss? He will join us next as we continue on to Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
This is what's trending on Fox Sports 910.
It worked out well. Yeah, I did well. I had Connor as well, so that was nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, I had a good day, so we'll see. I'm only up by a little, but I got some more players going tonight. Rudy Carpenter joins us down the right to the guest line here on Fox Sports 910. Rudy, I'm going to put you on the spot right out of the gate. One word that best describes what you saw yesterday afternoon with this Cardinals-Chiefs game. One word.
Awful.
That's pretty damn good.
There's no bad word, that's for sure. They all work.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I would say it was pretty awful, too. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel for all the Cardinal fans that are really flipping out today?
Well, I think so. I mean, the NFL is a long season. So many different things can happen. I think this time last year, we all remember, the famous press conference of, I believe it was last year, of Aaron Rodgers, who basically told the media to relax after their week 1 loss, and they went on a tear for the rest of the season. And also vice versa. Look, the Arizona Cardinals came out last year and started off super hot. I believe they started off 8-0, and at the end of the day, that didn't matter either. And there's going to be a lot. I mean, we talked about it, right? Like last year, we kind of made fun of it. The Arizona Cardinals, had a super soft training camp, didn't play a ton during the preseason, came out, balled out, and basically told all the idiots like me to shut up, and they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to preseason football. This year, all of us don't learn our lesson. We're asking the same questions. Hey, was training camp too soft? Are they ready to play? I don't know. We're old school way of thinking. And before they even enter the first game of the season, it feels like half of their roster is hurt and they played terrible. And now people are back on that train of, well, they didn't prepare right during training camp and in the preseason, and that's why. Ultimately, I think what the real situation is you're out a lot of really good players, including guys like DeAndre Hopkins. And that, to me, has been the common denominator. When DeAndre Hopkins is in the lineup, they play well. When DeAndre Hopkins is out of the lineup, they don't play well. Makes a lot of sense. That's why he makes as much money as he does.
Well, on top of that, you lost Chandler Jones, you lost Hicks, you lost Christian Kirk. I mean, they had all hands on deck, Rudy, last year for them not to, go into, and they were prepared. They had everybody ready to go. This time, I think what you're saying is so many injuries, so many players gone. I would think they would have recognized that and played a lot of guys. But all that being said, okay, we can beat that to death. But the Chiefs just that much better of a team than the Arizona Cardinals we saw yesterday?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are a good organization. They're a good club. I thought the Kansas City Chiefs did something interesting, right? And it's been talked about today, but this Manuch as a former player, when they let Tyreek Hill go, myself included, was like, wow, that's an interesting piece to let go. When you have a guy like Tyreek Hill who is as fast and as explosive as he is, he doesn't even need to get the football to really impact the defense, to impact the types of coverages that defenses play to him. But one of the other ways to do it is with your personnel. And the Chiefs they went into this season with a deliberate plan. They lost Tyreek Hill, but they brought in all these tight ends. And when you bring in all those tight ends and you run 13 personnel, for a lack of better terms, 1 back, 3 tight ends, right? You can dictate what kind of coverages and defensive schemes the defense has to run. And when you can do that, you can dial up plays that are meant to totally gash and or torch that defensive scheme. And my point is that's what the Chiefs did. The Chiefs went into that game, and I believe into this season, with a deliberate plan on how they want to attack defenses differently this season compared to how they've done it in the past. Whereas the Cardinals look to me to be a team that believes they're already good. Their scheme is already good. And all they needed was for their guys to be healthy. And as long as their guys were healthy, they were going to be able to explode. I guess my point is I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs went and got better, whereas the Arizona Cardinals felt like they were already good. They just needed to remain healthy. and ultimately they're right back in the position they didn't want to be in.
All right, let me follow up then with what you said about Andy Reid's offense and the way that it was constructed. Did anybody really see that coming, or was it just because they did indeed lose Tyreek Hill, the genius that Andy Reid is, he retooled the offense to still make it explosive?
Oh, well, I think probably a little bit of both, right? I'm totally speculating, so I don't want, people to think that I have some like inside information. I don't know. I'm just totally speculating. But I think when you look at it, the NFL is a cyclical football game, right? Or really a game. And so what happens is you have everybody running the quote unquote wishbone offense, right? So then what happens? Linebackers and defensive linemen get really big and strong. So then when those coaches start recruiting those big and strong linebackers, what do offenses do? They change and they spread teams out with smaller, quick guys who can now beat those real big guys in space. So what does the defense do? They adjust. And they get these super freak athletes that are like Isaiah Simmons, right? And now all of a sudden the offense has to adjust again. And now I think we're just in that type of period where where people are adjusting is they're saying, hey, now we're going to have really big receivers like Calvin Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins who are really big and they can also run. Julio Jones, you saw make a big play last night. But now you're starting to see tight ends become even more of a hybrid. Now you're seeing tight ends who can play wide receiver. They can play inline tight end. They can get in the backfield and play a pseudo, fullback H-back. They can split out wide and play wide receiver. Think about a guy like Curtis Hodges for Arizona State fans, right? That was a guy who was a pretty decent player here at ASU, played at Mountain Dew, but in the NFL is perfect for that game. That was an undrafted free agent who made the team with the Washington Commanders. Why? Because he's a 6'7" pseudo wide receiver who can run and he can block, but he can play big boy football, right? Make those contested catches, those one-on-one catches against linebackers who aren't as physical or as fast as him, and against DBs who aren't as tall as him. So to me, this is just Andy Reid moving along with the times and moving along with where the matchups are going, and that's what football is. Identifying your best matchups and exploiting it over and over and over again.
He's Rudy Carpenter joining us here on Fox Sports 910. Rudy, if you were a professor and you're grading what you saw from Kyler Murray, what kind of grade do you give him on this first game of the season?
I thought he played all right. To me, I think it's like a B grade. I mean,
okay.
Look, I know people maybe don't like to hear that because it's Kyler Murray and he contributed to a lot of the BS that went along this season. And it wasn't like, he lit the world on fire yesterday. But, at the end of the day, he had almost 100 quarterback rating. I think he was like, 22 for 34 or something. He had 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions. I mean, you would have liked, in my view, to see Kyler play better, considering that the Kansas City Chiefs, in my view, have, their defense is not one of their strengths. And if you look at their defensive backfield, they completely revamped their entire defensive backfield, I believe all 4 positions. And so you would like to see Kyler Murray torch that team. But again, in the NFL where the parity is just, teams are it's just so similar with the parity in the NFL and the talent. When you're missing the amount of players that
3 minutes
did yesterday, or you're replacing the amount of players they had to replace yesterday, it's just really, really, really difficult to execute and to be able to compete and win at a high level against a good football team. And I think that's what you heard yesterday was they just had a, lack of execution.
Rudy, where have you seen the major growth in Patrick Mahomes? Watching him yesterday, I was just very impressed with just watching him and the way he handled things. What impressed you about him, so far, and just in that game yesterday?
Well, I think in the game specifically yesterday, I think we'll see how it plays out throughout the course of the season, right? But one of the things that makes Patrick Mahomes so great is his ability to stretch the football field and take chances with the football and be able to make throws that most people can't make, right? And then what it comes down to is does he have the discipline enough to pull back when the situation doesn't call for him to be that aggressive? And there's been times in his career where he hasn't been able to do that. But when you watch the game yesterday, I mean, he was dang near perfect. He was 30 for 39, I believe, 360 yards or something. What do you have? 5 touchdowns?
Yes.
No interceptions. It looked like he just had the ball on a string and to put that thing wherever he wanted to so effortlessly. But what impressed me the most yesterday again was just his decision making. I thought it was really, really good. It looked like he was just in such command of the football game yesterday.
Rudy, as always, thanks for joining us on Monday. Look forward to catching up again next week.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Rudy Carpenter joining us here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. It's driven by All City Towing. As we talk about every day, All City Towing. They continue to grow, and they are hiring like crazy. Go to allcitytowing.com and get on board. Full-time positions, incredible benefits. They got a 401k program with a generous company match. And the fastest way to apply is online at allcitytowing.com. Just search careers. That's allcitytowing.com. So the Cardinals-Raiders game opened up at Raiders -5. It is now 4. So it's moving already. We'll find out how that moves throughout the week, if it does at all. But we'll have more on that as we get closer to the end of the week. D-backs were on a heck of a run back in 2011 on this day. Plus, do you remember who the Cardinals played in their first game ever here in Phoenix? We're going to take you back in time. It's our 72 Sold on This Day report. It's coming up as we continue from the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910. powered by our friends at 72 Sold, America's leading home selling program. There's no better way to sell your home than 72 Sold, the official real estate partner of the Arizona Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we'll have some info to pass along for that. So for the easiest, fastest, most profitable way to sell your home is at 72sold.com. Get a higher price at 72sold.com. So on this day, speaking of the D-backs, 2011, they were rolling. They defeated the Dodgers 7-2 for their 17th win in their last 20 games. They were tied for the Brewers for the second best record in the league, in the National League. How about that? And here we are talking about the Dodgers coming in town. And I think their magic number is 3 or 4.
Yes.
I would hate to see a scenario where they clinch a playoff spot again at Chase Field and decide to piss in the pool, allegedly.
I don't think they'll go down that road.
Why wouldn't they? Why? If I'm a Dodger, why wouldn't you?
I can see it happening again.
Why not make it a common occurrence? That was. I mean, we hated it. We hated it, right? As Diamondback fans,
sure.
But if you're a Dodger fan,
it's
which
great.
there are many of them, intern Barney,
sure.
And they just had it. I mean, what they did was so disrespectful, but at the same time, this team does not have a rivalry.
It's interesting,
and this is what creates rivalries, things like this.
I agree, Rock. I think that is making a tradition. It's a tradition for the Dodgers with about 2.5 weeks to go to clinch it against the Diamondbacks, and let's go head out to the pool and let's go ahead and let's go celebrate. Instead of champagne, let's go swimming in the Diamondbacks pool. That was classic. You forget about 2011, the Diamondbacks making that run, and was it Kirk Gibson was the manager at the time? Was it Gibby that was the manager?
I think it was.
He was the face of the organization back in those days. But that'd be fun. We'll catch up, Meffa, with Jerry Harrison Jr. on Wednesday. One of the voices for the Dodgers.
Hopefully they're not clinching that night.
Well, we'll see. We'll catch up with Jerry.
We had some fun with that when that happened. But allegedly, they pissed in the pool, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I think the chlorine takes care of that stuff, doesn't it? Pretty much.
I don't know, Manuch.
Yeah, if they break out the...
I'm glad I've never been invited to swim in your pool. I am not going to swim in your pool. I won't even let my dog go in your pool if that's what you're saying.
But no thank you.
When the kids were small, we'd have those sleepover parties and the kids in the pool and all that. We just made sure after they got out of the pool, I'd add a little more, we call it muric acid or whatever.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you just tell your kids don't piss in a pool?
Oh, you can tell them all you want, Rock, when they're 6, 7, 8
you're not a
years
good
old.
parent. You're not a good parent.
What am I going to tell them? I'm going to beat you if you pee in my
Shoot.
pool?
Yeah.
Even my dog gets out of the pool and pisses and then goes back in the pool.
Oh, yeah. Kids at that age, after cake and ice cream, they jump in a pool and they just...
Hey, on this day, back in 1988, the first NFL regular season game was ever played in Phoenix, and it was against the Cowboys. Those Cardinals and Cowboys. And Manuch, you were there, and it was a sellout, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were up in the northwest end zone, and it was jam-packed. And I'll never forget Aldo Greco. They tried the fake field goal against the Dallas Cowboys that backfired. They're driving the ball down. You got Neil Lomax at quarterback, and J.T. Smith, and Roy Green, and
I do have the Monkeys thing.
Quite the team in those days. But a loss Monday night. Football just came up short.
And in '79, the Pacers cut Ann Myers. We all know Ann Myers, first woman on an NBA team.
Did a couple interviews with her while she was there. The network sent me to go to Indianapolis, and I did a couple features.
When you say the network, ESPN?
ESPN.
Nice. So you called it the network back then?
Well,
the 4-letter network.
It's the only network that was on
true.
at that time.
Well, you could have been working for the affiliate in Indianapolis or something. All right. Because you've been everywhere, so I don't know. Can't keep track. And finally on this day in 1966, see if you remember this theme song as this TV show premiered on NBC.
Here we come. Walk
Down the street.
No, Manuch.
Stop it, Manuch.
Why ruin it? I mean, one of the best opens for a television show. Great show, too,
Great
by
show.
the way.
Lasted 2 years.
So what was the show before or after? Was it Banana Splits? What was that show?
No,
with
this was
Banana
at night.
Splits?
It might have been Batman or the Green Hornet. Might have
Okay.
come on
Yep.
before that.
Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't born yet.
Yeah, that was 66. Batman, Green Hornet, Beverly Hillbillies,
The Monkeys.
Green Acres
Yeah.
might have come on. I mean,
Okay.
those were kind of the staples.
Take your word for it.
Yeah, CBS back in those days.
It was a great creation by the network because this band did not exist. They were created just for the TV show.
Brilliant.
And so they all had to learn how to
3
play
minutes.
instruments really, really well because then they went out on tour.
And Davy Jones,
Yes.
that was Mickey Dolenz, Mickey Dolenz, the drummer, singing the song, and Davy Jones. They were good actors, and to your point, Jimmy, yeah, they became musicians. Peter Tork, Michael Nesmith,
Nesmith.
the heir of the Whiteout.
Yeah.
The heir of the Whiteout was the bass player.
You know, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Just got to show off the fact that you
Back in
guys
the
were
day,
alive
man.
then.
It's
Absolutely.
just knowledge, man. It's just
useless.
knowledge.
It's called useless
And,
knowledge.
and the 4 albums that they came out with.
Did they really? Had 4 albums?
It's 4 albums.
Wow.
Last Train to Clarksdale.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some. You just think of the.
I'm a believer.
I'm a believer. You're a believer.
Those are so they had 4 albums,
4
or 4
albums,
songs.
4 albums.
Did they really?
They toured.
Did they have
They
albums
were
or
in
songs?
concert here in Phoenix, near the airport,
Yeah.
and they came out in just droves going. I think this was 1967. After they filmed, they went out there, and that's where Jimmy was talking. They had to learn how to play instruments. They sang the song.
They did.
Mickey Dolenz is really the last surviving monkey
That is
as of
correct.
right now. Michael Nesmith passed away just 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was
I
coming
didn't know
back.
you were.
on-
I mean, I knew you were like an Aerosmith and
man, come on, man.
and Earth, Wind, and Fire fan,
Sure.
but I had
Yeah.
no
Oh,
idea
the
you knew so
Monkees.
much about the
Oh,
Monkees.
come on, Rocky.
Wow.
You kidding me?
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll leave it at that. On this day report brought to you by 72 Sold. Again, the easiest, fastest, most profitable way to sell your home is at 72sold.com. Get a higher price. I should say get our price as in 72 Sold, a higher price at 72sold.com. Coming up, we will continue to talk about some upsets in football. How about those Steelers and what they were able to accomplish yesterday? An upset, but we'll dive into some of the big games. But also, Saturday, we saw so many big upsets in college football.
App State,
We're going to
baby.
give you a chance also to react to the Cardinals' loss to the Chiefs. Craig Fooey from ABC 15 will stop by. All that as we continue from the CAZ Sports Bar, the home of the Monday Night Tailgate, which gets going tonight at about 5 o'clock. So hopefully you'll come down and join us and win some cash just for watching football. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910. start to the season after getting crushed by Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs 44-21 in Glendale. Zach Allen is rewriting the record books for the D-backs as they routed the Rockies 12-6. Welcome, hour number 2. Rock, along with Manuch and Jimmy B and Jax. We're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, 101 in McKelps, just off the 101. You can't miss it. And we are here for the duration of tonight's game between the Broncos and the Seahawks. Should be a good one, as kickoff is about 5:25. And we are giving away the cash for the 22nd consecutive year. I would have to guess, and let me pull the calculator
You
here.
want the
If I
abacus?
was
Got a
gonna,
slide rule here, too.
I was gonna kind of give you an kind of a ballpark.
I've got a sand dial.
A ballpark. So we had 22 years times. Let me see.
Maybe 10 grand a year, Rock?
Equals $880,000 I have given away approximately.
Wow.
In 22 years.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
Dang,
And
$1 million bucks, man.
Yeah, close to $1 million bucks.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
I mean, just for watching football.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
There's no one that can touch it. You know, I listen to on the radio and you jump around, right? We all
Sure,
do.
yeah.
You know, and you're like hearing promos for Monday night.
Yes.
Some casinos trying to do something. You can't touch what Casino Arizona does. You just can't. We give away cash. You're not getting, chips. You're actually getting the hard-on cash. Like,
Sure.
literally.
Greenbacks.
I'm not going to tell you how much I have on me right now, but I mean,
You're loaded.
there's a lot of money right now
Sure.
that's sitting here that we will give away. And it's not just one contest. There's multiple contests. The jackpot will start at $100. It's a progressive jackpot that we add $25 to it after every single kickoff. And the thing just grows. And we give it away if there's a touchdown on a run back on a kickoff. And if that happens, you're going to win that. And it's cash. And if that's not enough, you get a set of squares when you at the 10-minute mark of the first quarter and the third quarter. So you get an opportunity to win $25 there. And then today we're going to do props. So we got 10 different props. And if we pull your name after a prop happens during the game, like a first rushing touchdown, interception, maybe first Miller Lite commercial, it could be anything. And you'll win $25. So we do that. We got some cash to give away at halftime. So it's a great promotion. We encourage you to come on down. Not to mention, if you have not seen the new CAZ Sportsbook here at Casino Arizona, it's worth checking out as well.
Yep.
Having an opportunity to play or place bets during the game. That's something we've never been able to do here at Casino Arizona. Jimmy mentioned yesterday, place was absolutely packed. I know take the points, the Saturday show with Bauer and Gross, that did well this past weekend as a lot of people coming in for college football bets. So it's a cool place. Check it out. It's the CAZ Sports Bar, the new sports book in Casino, Arizona. Well, let's get to what we've been talking about throughout the last hour. It'll continue this hour as it's all about Cardinals.
Time for the top local and national stories of the hour. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's no better place in the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
Same as last. Cardinals embarrassed, steamrolled at State Farm Stadium yesterday. They lost 44-21. As you know, they never led by a point at any time. First half felt like you were watching the playoff game against the Los Angeles Rams.
Yep.
They were just blown away. And now they've lost 6 consecutive games at State Farm at what they call, I don't know what it is this year, the Nest or whatever they're calling it. They always come up with something. But right now, you just hope that this isn't something we're going to see all season long. It's not going to snowball.
Well, Rocky, you talk about losing the last 6 home games. They've lost last 6 out of 7 games, period.
Yep.
And they've lost it to the world champs last year, the Rams, in that playoff game, which was just an absolute debacle. Horrible. And you lost it to a team that was the runner-up, the semis last year in the AFC, that being the Chiefs. So you just see that the slide continues. Again, I think a lot of us knew that the Chiefs would probably win this without without D-Hop, without J.J. Watt. But you would think that Pugh would be making it. He didn't make it as a left guard. They had put Harlow in there. A lot of question marks on who's going to replace the pass rush from Chandler Jones, who's going to take over that slot, pardon the pun, if you will, for Christian Kirk. You just saw a lot of ineptness and just totally unprepared, and then lack of adjustments on top of that. I expected so much more.
Can I add to that adjustments? You get blown out the first half.
Yes.
Yeah.
You deferred on the kickoff, right? The opening,
Yes.
You give it to them, they run down, and it was like first team versus 13.
Yes, it was.
You have an opportunity to start the second half. You're only down, 21-7, 21-10?
23-7.
23-7, okay? You go 3 and out.
Yeah.
You go 3 and out.
Yeah. If there's a drive that is ultimately important when you're down like that at the opening of the set, you have to go down and score. Now, do you have to get a touchdown? No, but you got to take the ball down and score. It's as if the Chiefs were jacked up and the Cardinals were like, okay, well, let's try this or let's try that. And then after a while, they basically just shut down the running game, and then they covered up whomever. I mean, I'm trying to think. I know that Kyler Murray, he's getting pressure, he's getting rushed. And then on top of that opening drive in that third quarter, the blitz comes off the right side. He doesn't even see the corner come off and get sacked on third down. And you're like, guys, what is going on in reference to your basic core principles of running an offense? And I think, Rock, that's the gist. When they stop them, they get the ball and they go down and score 30-7. What are you going to do at that particular time?
Game was over, and it was over in a hurry, to be honest with you. My biggest takeaway from this was the Cardinals' ineptitude. And I just felt that, hey, we should have a competitive game here. We all picked Kansas City to win. We all felt they were the better team, and obviously they were. But we expected the Cardinals to be in the game. Guys, they were never, ever in the game.
Yeah, and
never in the game.
And the one thing that I always look at as far as, you look at some of the stats that are out there, third down conversions, Cardinals 3 for 12, guys. 0 for 4 with fourth downs.
Yep.
And then you look at the Chiefs, 5 for 8, third down conversions, keep the ball going. So when you add it all up, the Chiefs basically had the ball 10 minutes more than the Cardinals, 34 to 25 minutes, 25-18 to 34-42. So you add it up. You look at the turnovers. Chiefs only had the one turnover on the fumble by Juju Schuster. Cardinals coughed it up, but they didn't turn it over, interceptions or fumbles. But there's just no juice, no gas. I mean, it was fun to watch the Chiefs just kind of go, wow, that formation, that completion, that run. And I really believe that Andy Reid was going to make a concerted effort against one of the worst run defenses in the National Football League, being the Arizona Cardinals. And we talked about this, guys. They better do something about their run defense, or they're going to find out very soon. When they were able to run the ball like they did, that being the Chiefs, that opened up everything for the Chiefs, as if you had to open up another can of whoop ass on this Arizona Cardinals team. When you can run it, you can throw it, and they virtually had no answers or adjustments from the defensive perspective. Isn't Vance Joseph the rumor out there? If he has a really good year, he'll be up for another head coaching job.
Yep, that was the talk.
Okay, Vance. Well, then I know you don't have the horses like you did last year, but then you got to make adjustments. If you're going to be that guy, that defensive guru, where were your adjustments? There were none.
Let me drop this on you. How much without J.J. Watt does that play into the defense?
Maybe the run defense, because he's not going to be your rush guy like he was years ago.
All right.
I think that's where they missed him.
He's missed, 10 of 18 games or something
yeah,
like
that's
that?
about right. Yeah.
I think you just got to move forward.
Yeah.
Move on.
And
you can't rely on him.
This calf injury could be another 2 or 3 weeks, whether it's a strain or a tear. There's a difference. Did
he do it chasing the snake in his eye?
I don't know, man. Well, Rocky's age.
I don't know. I get it. I just feel bad. I mean,
I feel bad about
I
it
love
too.
the guy, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I want to watch him. I want to watch him play.
Yes.
He's a Hall of Famer. I want to see him out there.
And it's interesting.
The team needs him badly.
It's interesting. You just hear the pundits out there talk about, okay, Chiefs look to improve by doing this, and this. The Cardinals really losing all the key players that we talked about. Really, did they improve? Did they adjust to, if you lose so-and-so and so-and-so, do you have the answer for this or for that? And they've just, we talked about this, Rock.
Yeah, I know.
There's no, what have you done to me lately to improve this team.
I will say there were some highlights. I know there's so many lowlights. I think Eno Benjamin, he had a pretty good game.
I would agree with that.
The backup for James Conner, he had 61 scrimmage yards. He had carried the ball, 7 times? But I think more importantly, 2 kickoffs for 68 yards, including one that was 44 yards. So we got to give him credit there. James Conner, still, he's the guy. He did well. And I think, let's give it some time, but I think Murray to Brown in Hollywood, I think, you saw 4 catches for 43 yards, 6 targets. You had a touchdown in there. So there's something there between these 2 former college teammates.
I like watching Greg Dortch.
Dortch got targeted more than anybody.
Yeah, and he had 7 catches, and kind of at times he was kind of that go-to guy. I'm just very disappointed that Zach Ertz wasn't involved more in yesterday's offense. Unless guys, he's just still slightly dinged with that calf or ankle, whatever he's got bothering him. He might be 80-85%. He caught the touchdown at the end. He looked healthy as far as I was concerned. But when you don't have your rookie, your top pick, McBride in there for whatever reason, would you say a healthy scratch, whatever it was? Maybe let's use these more experienced tight ends. He's your first pick of the 2022 draft, and he's nowhere to be found in your opening game.
Yeah, that's
something
there.
Is this DJ Humphries all over again? Is this Isaiah Simmons all over again? I've never seen a team that has so many top picks in a draft not use their first year.
Yeah. Hey, make sure to tune in this Saturday, the only local sports gambling show in Arizona. It's called Take the Points. It's presented by our friends here at Casino Arizona. The guys are live from 11 to 1. It's Mike Bauer, Mike Gross, and our own Jax. We let him moonlight on the weekends with that show.
Did a fine job this weekend.
Filled in, yep. We had a good time. So they give you uncensored sports betting, opinions, analysis, and much, much more, even some advice. But we're going to hold them to it. I want to see how their numbers, their picks go with us. I mean, they're the ones who are doing a gambling show. We just do a segment called, the Underdog segment of the week, the Dog's Pick of the Week, which we'll kind of get an update on that in about 25 minutes. Coming up, big upsets over the weekend in college football. Our first Division I coach is fired. We'll discuss that as it's college football talk next on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
Yes.
That'll be it.
34-17 loss to the number 11 Oklahoma State. Devils did win the time of possession battle. First half of that game, you said, you never
Competitive.
It was good.
Yeah.
And you're saying, okay, maybe. And I just said to myself, this kind of reminded me of, and this is extreme and maybe a little too much. Kind of reminded me like an Ohio U, MAC school playing a Big Ten school, and it's pretty close early. Like they did all right against Penn State in the first quarter,
Right.
And then you just can't compete.
No.
The athletes are just too bigger, stronger, faster than in the Mid-American Conference. And I kind of felt that way a little bit here that, all right, the Devils are going to keep it close for the first quarter, maybe in the first half. And then, they took a 3-0 lead into the second quarter.
They did, yes.
And, they scored on their first possession.
Well, and the one thing I thought was, okay, you can get field goals. That's great drive, but you got to get touchdowns versus that team. You had to get scores.
Yeah, you did.
And I went, okay, this is pretty good. But if they all of a sudden, Okie State came out in the second half, they just started hitting also the running game. They weren't throwing much at running game. They stopped. They shut down ASU. I thought that Jones did a good job as far as throwing the ball. Passing game was fine.
I like this kid.
I do too.
I do too.
He's fun to watch.
He really is. Penalties were an issue.
Yes.
10 of them for 95 yards. That's something that Herman and his staff need to kind of work on that.
It was kind of like Oklahoma State said, okay, we just kind of played ball a little bit here in the first quarter. Now we know what they're doing. Now we're going to take off. And they just put the pedal down, and that was it.
So ASU will host Eastern Michigan this Saturday, speaking of the Mid-American Conference.
There you go.
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in that one. How about Arizona? They had Mississippi State, had their home opener. However, Mississippi State got them 39-17, as the Cats still have not beaten an SEC team in football since they beat Auburn in 1976.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Will Rogers III and that all came out up and down the field. A typical Mike Leach team. I mean, they spread it out and tough to cover guys. You're up 18-10 at half. You go, okay.
Yeah, they're in
a couple stops.
Yeah.
They're in it. But DeLara, I thought, really struggled for this team.
Well, he had to. I mean, he had to throw the ball because they couldn't run.
They couldn't.
They only ran for 37 yards.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's no way they're going to compete.
I got to say this, and if he goes down this Fafita kid, the true freshman that came at the end of the game, I was impressed.
Yeah, you liked him?
I liked it. Threw it well, ran it well. I mean, but again, you can't run. You've got to throw. You're not going to win that passing game against Mississippi.
North Dakota State this weekend down in Tucson. Up next for the Cats. NAU, big upset over the weekend.
I was shocked when I saw that game.
As they upset FCS departing Sam Houston State. The defense, they win 10-3. Huge win for Chris Ball and the Jacks as they take this one up there, actually on the road, and they'll be home this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this. I look at Brady Shuck, who's the brother of Tyler Shuck's outside linebacker for NAU, had a phenomenal game. And defense, they bowed their neck, as they like to say, and they just stood up to that Sam Houston State offense.
So first coach fired, Scott Frost out at Nebraska as they lost to Georgia Southern. A big upset there. For his this contract, he gets the full amount of the contract, that being Scott Frost, which includes $15 million for the next 4 seasons through December 2026, along with a with his prorated amount for this year. So had they fired Frost on October 1st or later, the final bill would have been roughly $8 million with the buyout, which would have been halved for the next 4 seasons. But they said no go, as no negotiating settlement between the coach and the school, and that's how Alberts wanted it, the AD.
And the AD, Trev Alberts, just basically came out and said, we can't wait.
Yep.
We can't wait for that. We just don't think it'll be good for the rest of the month and for the rest of the team. We got to cut bait and move.
And guys, on top of that, Trev Alberts and Scott Frost have been butting heads ever since Alberts took over a couple years ago. So I think that to the point of Trev Alberts, he had an excuse to finally let him go. But $15 million versus $8 after a couple weeks.
I read you.
Some other big upsets. We're going to play some sound, kind of get you in the mood of what we saw over the weekend. Let's start with Notre Dame losing to Marshall 28-21. Here is one of the big plays in this one.
Here's Buckner. Pressure coming. Buckner stands in and fires his goes. Intercepted. Gilmore down the sideline. Pick six. Gilmore.
That put Marshall up 26-15 in that game. Buckner looks as though he may be out for the year now. Yep. That is courtesy of NBC. Another big upset. Appalachian State, Texas A&M. How about this as the clock ends? And listen to this this call on ESPN as Appalachian State upsets Texas A&M.
Bryce takes it, falls to the ground, and Appalachian State has done it again. They come to College Station, and they take down the number 6 team in the country.
You know, it's funny in that game, and thank you to ESPN for that. It's funny because everybody remembers App State upsetting Michigan, but they had a chance to beat North Carolina in their very first game.
I was going to bring that up.
And both those teams scored over 60 points.
I know.
And
like 40 in like the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I lost that bet. Washington State and Wisconsin.
Who cares about?
Here's a big 31-yard TD in this one that put Washington State up for good.
The defensive end, and the Badgers on second down. Four-man rush again. Urban got yanked back. Ward flips it out wide. He's got Watson off the spin. The former Badger is in. Touchdown.
How about that? Former Badger now with the Cougars in Washington State as they go on to win 17-14. What's going on with the Big Ten, folks? Not good. Not good for the Big Ten.
Well, between the Big Ten and the Pac-12, you just wonder. I'm sitting there watching all these upsets, and you watch these games, and you see this guy transfers to that school, this guy transfers that to this school.
Can't keep it.
You just kind of. But I think what's going on, guys, is you're saying that portal kind of bring parity into some of these other teams that are being now they can contend with the A&Ms or the Wisconsins or the Floridas or whatever. I mean, heck, I think look at Florida beating Utah, and then Kentucky beats Florida. I mean, so parity abounds.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
we remember the dog of the week.
Yeah,
I mentioned it as my honorable mention because Kentucky has their number.
Sure do.
Tennessee and Pittsburgh. This went into overtime. This is how it ended in overtime.
Still in field goal range. Hooker throws, end zone, touchdown! Cedric Tillman just bodied up, established position, and it dropped right into his lap.
Courtesy of ESPN on that one as Tennessee wins 34 to Pittsburgh. It's 27 in that one to overtime. And then finally, how about a second overtime or 2 overtime game where I did not see this one. You see, as the Saturday broke the news at game day that 2 BYU starters at wide receiver were not going to play.
Correct.
I went right to my DraftKings and I'm like, I am all over this.
Taylor.
But unfortunately, this is what happened.
4th and goal from the 12. Chapin into the end zone, and BYU wins it.
How about that? They win in double overtime, courtesy of ESPN, 26-20. And then finally, as we just mentioned, Kentucky and Florida. Kentucky 26, Florida 16. And of course, the game that was the one that everybody was talking about, it started us all off on Saturday, was Alabama beating Texas 20-19. Some questionable calls, like a non-safety call.
2 minutes.
I mean, it was
Two pass
brutal.
interference calls.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
very obvious. You know,
Pass
and those
interference.
I think those are Big 12 officials.
They
if
were.
I'm not mistaken. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you miss those calls, guys? I got to tell you what. It's preseason for some of the officials. I mean, it's preseason still for some of the officials in the National Football League.
Yep.
Some of the bad calls we saw in the NFL, but some of the horrific calls or no calls in college football. I'm like, you're standing right there, and that kid gets mugged. He gets noogies, and you don't call that play. I mean, I was just stunned, and a lot of coaches, are very cautious how they commented on some of the things that happened. So. I got to tell you what, college football, I love what I'm seeing. Some of the upsets that are going on.
You got to make, guys. It's
parity
awesome.
abounds.
It's so much fun when you see a Marshall and Appalachian State and Georgia Southern, winning these games and win a head
1
coach gets fired already in the third week of the season. That doesn't normally happen, especially a pretty big name as Scott Frost, who had a lot of success at Central Florida.
He sure did.
He had a parade when they won the national championship in his mind.
And it just never translated.
National
championship, right?
Yeah, you know what? He just couldn't translate that to victories in Lincoln. I don't know why.
You think the fact that Nebraska's in the Big Ten plays into this, that they're not getting the same kids?
Might be. I think that what happened in Nebraska Rock is a lot of their offense, their defense never got old. Their offense got stale. A lot of kids wanted to go to more exciting spread, RPO, air raid. They were kind of the last to kind of buy into that.
Yes.
So I think they lost their momentum when other kids are going to other schools.
And they've had the same quarterback for like 12 years now, Martinez.
No, he's now at Kansas State.
He got traded.
He got traded to K-State.
I'm kidding.
And K-State won.
Yeah.
We smoked Missouri.
That's great. Hey, it's here, and we're here. Our 22nd year of hosting Monday Night Football at Casino Arizona. We call it the Monday Night Tailgate. Cash prizes, with our kickoff jackpot, our squares, our props, our football bingo. We do it all, and you can win cash just for watching football. It's here. Hope you can come on out and join us tonight. Myself, Jax, probably intern Barney will be on his way unless he's traveling to Europe somewhere on some boat, as he seems to go on these boat rides all the time. But he'll join us as well. We'll have some fun. The Monday Night Tailgate here at Casino Arizona in the CAZ Sports Bar, where they now have a sports book. So was it the lack of starters not playing in the preseason that had the Cards playing so flat? We'll check in with Craig Fouey from ABC 15 for Factor Fouey as we continue on here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910. here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910. We've been doing Factor Philly for a good 15-plus years, and he joins us now on the right to the guest line. Mr. Philly, I'd like to introduce myself. Mike Morocco, a.k.a. Rock. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you for doing that.
I just picked the phone up when I heard your name. I'm like, wait, Rock?
Yeah, I know.
Awesome.
Well, Mondays are like a holiday for me until football starts. So I always get that 3-day weekend. So Manuch and Jimmy B have been holding down the fort. So yeah,
I might go to that 4-day work week. I kind of like that.
Yeah. All right, you know the rules. Manuch writes the questions, and we go from there. So here's the first one. The lack of preseason play for the Cardinals starters was the main issue for them being flat. Fact or phooey?
No, phooey on that.
Okay.
I think it's a lack of players.
Okay.
I've been in a situation before where you go into a game. It's like, do we have anybody that can block? Do we have anyone on this team that can tackle? Do we have anybody that can play defense? Do they have anybody who can play secondary? I think that's where the Cardinals were. They were down so many injuries, and guys were just not. They're not very good. I mean, let's be honest. I don't want to look at this roster and say, "My gosh, we got 11 Pro Bowlers on this team." We don't. I mean, J.J. Watt's on the sideline. Chandler Jones is in Las Vegas. You go down the list of Marcus Golden was playing with a hurt toe. Rondell Moore got hurt Thursday in practice. DeAndre Hopkins is out for 6 weeks. I mean, it's sort of like who's left, by the way, Justin Pugh was out, the singer, offensive guard, I mean, you just go down the list, and then you got these young defensive linemen that they're hoping turn into something, but haven't yet. And I just hate to say it, but I think this rests on Steve Kahn's shoulders. I just don't think that players are very good right now.
Coach, I don't know if I've ever seen an organization where the top picks their first year that don't play. Trey McBride was a healthy scratch. Isaiah Simmons was on the JV team on his first year. DJ Humphries, I don't even played, and I go on and on and on. I've never seen an organization.
David Collins,
exactly. I've never seen an organization where their top picks aren't. I know they're not going to be real impactful their first year, but they're not even playing. On top of that,
if you're a first or second round draft pick, you need to be impactful.
Absolutely,
right? You need to be out there playing.
Yes,
and to say, guys, we're coming along. Remember DJ Humphries with Bruce Arians? It was like, I call him knee deep because it's like, oh man, great, that's great. You drafted this guy in the first round. Isaiah Simmons, you drafted him in the first round. Zaven Collins, you told Jordan Hicks he wouldn't have a starting position on draft night because you drafted Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins is still running around like a chicken with his head cut off. I mean, it's not there yet, and I just hate to think this team is. I just don't think they're that great. I think there's some really good players. I just don't think it's a great football roster.
All right, Coach. Question number 2, a little factor fooey. The ABC 15's Craig Fooey. Andy Reid and his staff totally outcoached the Cardinals in this loss. Fact or fooey?
Absolutely. Fact. Man, oh man. I literally just got back from Cliff's press conference, and I asked him today in the news conference. I said, was it something that they did, or was it just confusion on your part? Because did they change their offense? Did they do something different? He's like, no, we just weren't lining up. We weren't getting lined up. We didn't have a sense of urgency. It's like, okay, so they didn't do anything you didn't expect, right? But they kicked your ass, right?
Yeah,
so, I mean, I just think it was a butt whooping. They took them out to the shed. It's like they took no prisoners. They just busted their butts. And I just don't think there's any excuse for that at the NFL level.
Well, Coach, there's no excuse for you to line up your first offensive play of the year after 8 months and almost take a delay game and then have a procedure call. I'm like, this is going to be a long-ass day. They can't get lined up properly on their first offensive play of the year, and they Daniel run the clock down, and guy has a procedure call. What the hell, over?
Yeah. No, I agree with it. It was just remember the first year against the Lions in 2019 when Cliff and Kyler came in together? And it looked like that first half looked like, oh my God, this is awful. Remember? And then they turned around, they tied the Lions in that game in the second half. But I remember Cliff saying, man, I thought I was going to have to sell my house after one half of football. But that's the way it looked yesterday.
Yes.
Right? It just looked like, my God, the JV team against the varsity.
Yeah, it did. All right, Coach, here we go. Cardinals defensive coordinator Vance Joseph does not have any answers for a playoff team or a Super Bowl contending team, evidenced by last year's loss against the Rams and then yesterday against the Chiefs. Fact or fooey?
Fact. And listen, I'll reference my answer earlier. when you're a coach and you don't have much to work with, you try to scheme as much as you can. But scheme only takes you so far. And if the guys don't execute or they're not capable of executing that plan, then you lose. And I thought Vance had people, I mean, they were just guys were, if you watch that game at all, you saw the defense, and Cliff even said it today, guys weren't lining up, to get lined up, know where you're supposed to go. Guys were pointing at each other and telling this guy to go there and this guy to go there. And there were mismatches. I mean, Travis Kelce against Isaiah Simmons, that's a mismatch. There were those kind of situations. But, yeah, it was just like, what does he have to work with? Because I thought schematically they probably had everything figured out, except they just couldn't execute it.
All right, question number 4 with ABC 15's Craig Fouey. Without DeAndre Hopkins, the Cards' passing game has no threat in making big plays down the field. Fact or Fouey?
Oh, boy. I'm going to say Fouey on that because I think they do have threats. I think they do have guys in Hollywood Brown. They've got Greg Dortch, who was their leading receiver yesterday, right? Rondell Moore out after getting hurt Thursday. There are some weapons, but I think you have to figure out, even Cliff said it a couple of weeks ago, we've got to get better at running, scheming our offense without DeAndre Hopkins in there. It's like, well, my God, you went for how many games last year without DeAndre Hopkins in there? I think you should know how to do that. And then he was down DeAndre Hopkins. He's down Rondell Moore. They're down Antoine Wesley, a guy they signed to a couple-year deal. But you still have those speedy guys, and you've got A.J. Green, who they didn't even take advantage of yesterday, and they've got tight ends they didn't even look to. So I think there's some real issues in terms of what – and, of course, I will say this. When you get down 21-7 or 23-7, it changes your game plan, right? It's not like you can just go out there and say, well, let's just pound the ball. We'll pound the rock and see if we can get some points on the board in about 12 minutes. You can't do that. So the game plan changes.
All right, Coach, last question. Defensive coordinator Vance Joseph must not have Isaiah Simmons cover top tight ends and slot receivers anymore and have him stay as an inside linebacker covering running backs only, please. Fact or Fouey?
But wait. Isaiah's the star back.
Yeah.
He can play anywhere.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a tough one. And I will go before Isaiah Simmons, guys. Colin's sitting here in the sports office with me. When was the last time you knew of a Cardinals defense that could cover a tight end? Tight ends come into a game against the Cardinals and go, hey, I got a 100-yard game today, and this is going to be awesome. Kelce, 8 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, the Cardinals have never covered a tight end. I mean, we've been screaming about this for a decade or more, and it's one of those, wait, why come we don't do that on offense? It's like, but yeah, I think Isaiah's in growing pains. He's calling the plays on defense, got a lot on his mind. That first game was tough, and maybe he should have played in some preseason games to get used to having that green dot on his helmet and calling the defensive schemes.
Coach, you talked about tight ends. I'm like you, disappointed to go to Zach Ertz more. I know Williams was playing. I know Trey McBride got your. Did you ask why he was a healthy scratch? Why your top pick of your draft did not play? Did that come up?
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did. He's not quite ready yet. That was the answer. He's not quite ready.
Okay. Wow. So he's knee deep as well, is what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah. But you got Max Williams out there. No targets, no catches.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz, 2 catches for 14 yards on. It's just like, what's going on with this thing? It's just a different. I don't know. They just looked like to me a JV team yesterday. I don't think it was about preparation or. I just think we can come up with all kinds of next man up, all those things, but. They just didn't look like a very talented team. Now, I know it's week 1. Yeah. I know it's overreaction Monday. Right. I get all that. But man, it was ugly.
What if they get exposed against the Raiders in their next game the way that they got exposed by the Chiefs? Then what happens?
Then Manuch and I will be coaching the offense.
Hey, I may be playing for crying out loud.
Can you still throw 5 or 10 yards?
Yes, I can, Coach. I can. I got to tell you, you know what, Coach? It's interesting because when I hear you talk, a lot of people talking about the lack of improvement. So I think we all felt they might have played the starters a little bit more so in preseason just to kind of work a few things out, get some continuity. Then, you watch the Chiefs who do it every year. That's just what Andy Reid does. And they look like midseason form to the Cardinals' first preseason game as a group of starters. At least in my eyes, it did.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you. So I just don't understand this. Listen, if you look at the last part of last season and yesterday, they're 1-6 in the last 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's not a good way. I mean, Cliff said today, he was asked about that, and he just said, You know what? Last year we started 7-0 and fell off at the end. Maybe this year we're going to flip flop that, and start off slow and pick up steam. You know, I hope they don't go 0-5.
No,
but they could.
But yeah, they very well could.
They could.
But Coach, think about it. Vegas, they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose any time in their division. And then you got the Rams coming in, next week. They want, after that debacle, they want to get the ships righted. It seems as though the Cardinals will face a lot of teams who want to have their ship righted at the wrong time, especially early in the year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And listen, there's no excuse. And listen, you can blame Cliff. He's the head coach. You get that. I mentioned Steve Keim earlier for the roster, but these are professional athletes.
Sure.
Nobody should go out on a field making money to play a game and be that flat and be that ugly, right? I'm sorry. And I'm not talking about their looks. They're a bunch of good-looking guys. But
thanks for clarifying, Coach.
Good
you
stuff.
Can't play that ugly,
Very good stuff as always, buddy. Glad you're still coming on, even if I'm not here. So I appreciate that. So
great talking to you, Rob.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Appreciate that.
See you, boys.
Thank you, man.
That's Craig Philly joining us. Is binge watching over, guys? As Netflix might stop releasing full seasons all at once. And a man was arrested for a DUI after he put his car into the ocean. We'll tell you what that's all about. Yeah, we got a little sports bar gossip. We'll get back to Cardinal talk, of course, as we have Rudy Carpenter joining us a little bit later. We got Frank Sanders. That's all coming up in the next hour. You will also hear Pujols' 2-run homer, which got him to 697, which puts him at 4th all time. That's next as we continue from Casino, Arizona to Rock.
say you're going to do it on game day and not do it in practice.
It's Kingsbury.
Yes.
Says team needs to practice better.
What the
No,
hell?
you know what?
I mean,
Wish this was serious next time. No, you could say you could use some profanity.
how often do we hear him? And
Really?
You know, it's funny. I heard that press yesterday. I thought about you, Rock, about replaying what he said. That's a great team where they played good.
Told you.
We didn't practice. Yeah, I just said, tape it. Just here, people. I got to go try to figure this thing out. They played a great game. They kicked our butts.
So
we got to practice harder. I mean, what do you mean you got to practice hard? You got your first game of the year, and you're not busting your butt. You're not playing anybody in preseason. You should be practicing your butts off, getting ready for this game. No physicality. Everybody reaching and grabbing, and just nothing going on,
tackling.
man. Nobody tackling.
Do you think he has a command of this team?
I don't.
Do you think because he's a younger guy?
He is.
You know, he's into all this stuff. You know, being younger. What's he? Just over 40,
42, 43-ish.
You know.
Yeah.
Do they need a more of a disciplinarian?
I see a guy. It's good that he delegates.
Okay.
And I've not been there long. I don't see a guy that's got. You know,
we're not there. We don't know.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it seems. What I hear him say is that Vance Joseph's got that
He's
over
got
there.
the defense.
I've got the offense. Instead versus a guy bringing him in and just being somewhat dialed in. A matter of fact, it's interesting because it's like Andy Reid go walk towards Spagnuolo as the Cardinals were driving down the field. He went down there when Spagnuolo was doing the calls.
Yes.
And he was over his shoulder, kind of like, what? They're moving the ball. What's up? I mean, it was interesting to see Andy Reid so involved with special team, but that really caught me. Like, I've never seen Cliff go down to Vance Joseph and say, "Hey, look, what do you got going on here?" I mean,
you know, if sometimes I like watching the games at the bar or on TV, but I remember being at the Green Bay game last year. What was that Thursday night game? And just watching Cliff on the sideline. He's by himself, like down by the 20.
Sure,
like he does his own thing, and it's like. Why aren't you? I know you got your headset.
Are you telling me that you don't think he's connected to his other coaches?
No, of course he is.
Okay.
Technology-wise, he is.
Yes, that.
But is he truly connected?
Here, Rock. I think
I don't know, guys. None of us know. We're not in the locker room.
Okay, what I hear you saying is, does everybody like when Chuck Knox was coaching us in Buffalo, we feared Chuck would get in your grill, whether you're offensive guy, defensive guy, whatever, because he's watching everything and he's ruling over everything. I don't see Cliff particularly having that command of getting in your grill. I've never seen him go down to the defense and get in their grill about stopping somebody.
I would love the day where you see Cliff goes off on a player.
I would. You know what? I've seen him have a stern conversation with Murray a couple times.
Okay.
Which is good. I think the offense knows who's the king, he's the guy. But I don't know if the whole team is. I know they like Cliff. He's a player's coach. They know what they can and can't do. I just don't see that like, hey guys, I go down to the defense and look, I need this, and this. Vance, hold on a second. I got this, and this is yours. But I need to have a little heart to heart with these guys. Like, guys, what the hell are you doing? I don't see that overall, and that could be. I mean, he's got command, but does he have the ultimate authority of what's going on?
Hey, the call of the night. It wasn't something in one of the football games. It was actually the 9th inning of the Pittsburgh-St. Louis baseball game, because this happened courtesy of Bally Sports Midwest.
Pujols is 1 for 3 against DeYoung. That one hit, you guessed it, a home run. The 2-0 pitch to Albert Pujols. Here it comes. Albert sends one out to deep right center. It's at the wall. Good! He's done it! 697. A 2-run homer to put the Cardinals on top. He's all alone. 4th place in home runs in Major League history. Incredible.
What a great storyline.
Oh, man. And to come back and do it in St. Louis.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, he's got 3 more. You got 3 more weeks to get 3 more to get to 700.
Yep.
Gosh.
Would love to see him.
It's just awesome. It's just awesome. We're going to go off script here. For you Netflix fans, which is many of you, especially when COVID hit, many of you are Netflixing a lot. And there's different forms of Netflixing. Manuch knows one way, and most people know another way. When you say, hey, we're We're going to Netflix.
Yeah, we're gonna Netflix. We're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
We're gonna binge watch Netflix a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
some people call Netflix something else.
okay,
something else.
My wife and I am.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you get it.
Watching.
Oh, okay, you're on the right path.
Sure.
You know where I'm going. Well, anyway,
a couple glasses.
They're
of wine.
thinking about moving away from the binge watching model and releasing the episodes of a series weekly, which during COVID you found yourself watching an episode and then watching another one,
yes, you did.
and another one,
yes.
and another one. So you got accustomed to doing that. I can't do that. Watch Sopranos on a Sunday anymore, where you wait all week.
Yeah,
we got spoiled in a sense, because you want it now.
Yes,
and that's what's so cool about Netflix is you could watch that, back to back to back to back if you needed to. So anyway, hey, our police blotter for today: a 48-year-old drunkenly drove his vehicle into the ocean. It happened in Delaware, and some bystanders were able to pull him out. And of course, he was charged with a DUI. So police got a 911 call, and there were some witnesses that he just literally drove right into the water.
Just on the beach or off the board. I mean, that's interesting.
He was on the beach.
Oh.
It wasn't a road.
Did he have one of those cars that you can drive on the road?
It's not the Daffy Duck thing that you see at like in the Bay Area or Santa Barbara,
with the propellers.
Everybody gets in and they give you the what do you call that when you're going around town and they're doing like a tour, a tour bus.
Yes,
that also goes in the water.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call those things.
There's that old amphibious car that they had back in the 50s and 60s.
Yes, I remember those.
Flip that off, turn your propellers on, and go right in the water.
Hey, congratulations goes to Scotty Scheffler, named PGA Tour Player of the Year. I thought it was really cool that they surprised him during ESPN's Game Day in Austin.
That was great.
As Scheffler was a graduate of the University of Texas, so that was pretty cool for him to take care of that, as he received 89% of the vote over Cam Smith and Rory McIlroy.
It'd been nice to see them upset Bama with all that going on. I mean, that would have been
105,000 people.
Was that the final
that
tally?
That was the record. It's a record.
Well,
there.
they redesigned that stadium. It used to only seat about 70, 75.
It had to be hotter than you know what.
It was 95 that day. It probably was 125 on the field.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, they were. That was one of the things that they were talking about quite a bit was, how hot it was on the field. The commentators, the girl on the sideline, all that stuff. Oh, it's 120.
Well, part of her job, Rock. Make sure she knows how hot that field is.
It's so important for us to know how hot it is, right? I mean, it's just you can't get
125 degrees. Your dogs are barking, man. They're hot.
Hey, we do it every day. We are giving away a customized backyard patio grill set. All you got to do is text Peaks to 55678. That's Peaks to 55678. Thanks to our friends at Twin Peaks, as well as Blue Moon and Coors Light. We'll be at the Tempe location this Thursday from 1 to 4. Hopefully you come out and join us. Hour number 3 is coming up from Casino, Arizona. Frank Sanders, Rudy Carpenter.
helps continue protection against the sun, a booster shot can help enhance protection against COVID-19 after a primary series vaccination, which wanes over time. Schedule an appointment when eligible. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Calling all sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Proudly sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing.
Too much
and
work.
is powered by the injury
Hard enough to get
attorneys
that done.
Lerner and Rowe. In Iraq,
That was just Darren being proactive for us.
Call, that's all. 602-977-1.
You guys are hot.
And always online at lernerandrowe.com. Now time for Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. on Fox Sports 910.
Pretty bad loss for that Arizona Cardinal team. Vegas is this coming Sunday. We'll have all week to dissect that one and preview, but today we get to react. On Monday, react on the Cardinals. We'll have Rudy Carpenter here in about 15 minutes, followed by Frank Sanders. That's all this hour as we're coming to you live from Casino, Arizona, as we are back for our 22nd year of hosting the Monday Night Football game. We call it the Monday Night Tailgate, formerly Showroom Football. We got cash for prizes. You're not getting like a T-shirt, a keychain, any of that swag. You're getting cash.
A chip.
Yeah, you don't even get a chip. You get an actual hard cash.
That's it.
Which, if we're streaming right now, I mean, I can literally just show you the big bills we're giving away.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. It's like some streaming right now. So this is the money we'll give away tonight.
There it is.
Just for watching football. Something that we put together many years ago, 21 years ago to be exact, myself and former hosts and I. And we put this thing together, and it's been a hit ever since. We've given away close to $900,000 over the course of
That's amazing. I mean, think about that,
years.
Rock. You've given away almost $1 million. Think about it. I mean, that's incredible.
What's there to think about?
It's an astounding number. It's an astounding number.
It's amazing you've handled all that cash, Rock.
Yes. Yeah, do you
$1
have
million
$1 million in your
ducats,
wallet
man.
right now?
No, I don't. I have no.
Hey, he does it every day,
I know,
Jimmy. It's
yeah,
no big
you're
deal
right.
to Rock.
I know.
Yeah, it's no big deal to Rock. He does
Money
it every
Rock.
day.
Yes. But and what's great about it, what people don't realize, they think there's admission. There's a cost to get in here,
Right.
and it's free.
Yes.
And what's great about it's now in the CAZ Sports Bar with sports betting, which is something that we've never had here on a Monday.
Never.
So I can't wait to see how that all kind of goes, because I know myself, and let's see, I'm not eligible to win the cash, obviously, because I'm running the show.
Right.
But I am sure going to be betting in that book.
You will be
right?
over there.
I'm going to be putting in some bets, especially, after the first quarter, after the half. So that's what's going to make it a lot of fun. So it's going to be a little bit of a different dynamic here at Casino Arizona every Monday. So tonight it's the Broncos and the Seahawks. So again, that'll get going right after 5 o'clock here at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. But let's get to the top story that everyone in this market is talking about right now.
Time for the top local and national stories of the hour. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Bet big on your favorite teams and players in an environment that's as exciting as the game you're watching. There's no better place in the Valley to get in on the action. The Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar. Now, guys, what's your top story this hour?
It's got to be the Commanders beating the Jags. Right?
How about
28-22.
How about the Houston Texans and the Indy Colts with a tie?
How about that? That's amazing to me.
I know.
Come on, Indianapolis. Are you kidding me? Of course, it was down in Houston, so that's home field advantage.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. That's no
I'm just
excuse.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
No excuse. Of course, it's the Cardinals blowing it yesterday to the Chiefs.
Blowing it. Rock, they were never in the game.
I know. It just – I'm trying to find something positive to take away, and I really don't have much other than, Benjamin.
I thought Kyler Murray
played well. James
well.
Conner, you got what you thought. You're going to – hopefully you're going to continue to get that, Pro Bowler that we saw last year. And, he had 55 yards, a touchdown on 15 carries. he's the guy. And, Benjamin had a good day himself as the backup. He touched the ball 7 times for 61 scrimmage yards, and also had what I thought was important was the 2 kickoffs back for 68 yards, one of them being a 44-yarder. But, it's good to see him in there. I think a lot of ASU fans are happy to see him stick.
Sure. I think that he caught the ball well, ran the ball hard, had a nice spin move out of a catch out of the backfield. I think watching Greg Dortch, 7 catches, I know that, is he going to be the guy that replaces Christian Kirk, who's gone on to Jacksonville? We'll yet to see. But I think, for a lot of fans, I think just a disappointment, just the way there was just no answer for this Kansas City Chiefs team. There was absolutely no answer. And it was just kind of, for me, it was fun to watch Andy Reid with this offense and Patrick Mahomes be laser sharp on all of his throws and just go up and down the field. And the Rock, you brought this up a little bit earlier, that at halftime, you're down 23-7. You get the ball coming out of the half, and you go 3 and out. And they get it and go down, score. Game, set, match.
Yeah, that's when I'm like, can I get my tab? Gotta head home early. Yeah,
check, please.
Yeah, go. It's true. I said, I have my guys that we all meet, at 10 o'clock and watch games. And the first half of the games yesterday were tremendous. How so many came down to the wire, so many of them, and then all of a sudden you're basically you're still caught up in what had just happened in the first half of the day with those games. And then what happens? Chiefs get the ball, Cards defer, so Chiefs get the ball, and what do? It was like first team versus third team.
Yes.
And I thought that
it was so smooth.
I thought it was wrong for them to defer. I'd rather have the ball because the KC is going to get that ball. If they go down and score, that puts you in the hole
right away.
So
we can debate that all day long. I always want the ball in the second half.
Well, I know that, but I want to set the tone. My home field.
Fair. Okay, I'll buy that.
I want to set the tone. It's the first game of the year, and y'all been dogging us about not playing our starters and this, and we're going to get the ball. We're going to come out. If I'm Cliff Kingsbury, no, man, I want the ball. So maybe his lack of
should be an offensive-minded guy.
Man, that's it right there, Rock.
There you go.
I mean, you think Andy Reid would have deferred if this was in Kansas City? No, hell no. You want the ball.
He wants it,
because he knows his offense is going to go down and get at least 3 points where they've been playing. But I don't know. I don't like that philosophy at home, and you've got this so-called energy on offense that you're going to make it happen, and you're going to allow this defense who's got a lot of guys missing to help set your tone against the one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the league? I don't think so.
Here's the interesting part. The stadium was raucous. I mean, it was noisy.
Lots of Chiefs fans.
Lots of Chiefs fans were there, but
it's expected.
But still, it was a wild crowd to begin. And as the Chiefs just kept going and going and going on down the field, it became much quieter until Kansas City scored. Then the Chiefs fans went nuts, which they should.
After this first touchdown, you go, okay, Cardinals got to come back, score. All right, they hold them. Second touchdown, you just kind of went, uh-oh.
Because that series felt similar to the first series.
It did. No adjustments, and they go down the field, and all of a sudden it's 23-7, and you're happy. Wait a second. How did that happen? Well, number one, you got a quarterback that's 30 for 39, 5 touchdown passes. Well, he's throwing sidearm behind his back, flipping it. He's handing off with his right hand, guys, because he hurt his left hand. You know how hard that is to hand off with a backhanded handoff with your right hand? And you just got to make sure it's secured. He's got a big hand, obviously. That's being Patrick Mahomes. But I just saw a team.
How do you know he has a big hand?
They talked about it.
He's got a big. Yeah,
I missed that. I guess I was
big mitts, and the ball looks like it's like a tennis ball in his hand.
And he throws the football like a baseball.
Yeah,
on top of that. That's how big his hand is.
I'm telling you, Manuch, as a quarterback, as a former QB, you can really enjoy this one. The one touchdown in the second half, the pressure was on him, and I think they were in the red zone, and he runs away from the pressure to the left side of the field. He's running to his left and nonchalantly
flips it
into the end zone sidearm,
and
he just lofts it up in the air, and the receiver just comes running from nowhere and makes the catch for a touchdown.
Guys, his vision of the field and his anticipation.
Tremendous.
He's got a phenomenal arm. We know that. But, I mean, just his way he touch passes. He's also a phenomenal passer as well as a thrower. And, you know, I liken him to, you know, one of those guys that sees the whole field and can place the ball and nobody else can get it. And down in that area, he puts it where nobody else can get it. If his guy doesn't get it. Now, you know, the one throw in the end zone where his tight end broke it up, where Marco Wilson could add an interception, that was smart. That's probably one of his worst throw he had the entire game in the end zone where his tight end broke that up.
It's called the Monday Night Tailgate here at Casino Arizona in the CAZ Sports Bar. They added the sports book, and we're giving away the cash with our kickoff jackpot, our squares, our props. We'll do football bingo next week, do props this week. All for just watching a little football.
That's it.
How about that? Greenbacks.
Hope you'll come back, or hopefully you'll come and join us here at the CAZ Sports Bar. How about Rudy Carpenter? What does he think on this debacle yesterday afternoon? And does he have one word that best describes it? The former Sun Devil and NFL quarterback will join us next. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910.
the Kansas City Chiefs are a good organization. They're a good club. I thought the Kansas City Chiefs did something interesting, right? And it's been talked about today, but this Manuch as a former player, when they let Tyreek Hill go, myself included, was like, wow, that's an interesting piece to let go. When you have a guy like Tyreek Hill who is as fast and as explosive as he does, he doesn't even need to get the football to really impact the defense, to impact the types of coverages that defenses play to him. But one of the other ways to do it is with your personnel. And the Chiefs they went into this season with a deliberate plan. They lost Tyreek Hill, but they brought in all these tight ends. And when you bring in all those tight ends and you run 13 personnel, for a lack of better terms, 1 back, 3 tight ends, right? You can dictate what kind of coverages and defensive schemes the defense has to run. And when you can do that, you can dial up plays that are meant to totally gash and or torch that defensive scheme. And my point is that's what the Chiefs did. The Chiefs went into that game, and I believe into this season, with a deliberate plan on how they want to attack defenses differently this season compared to how they've done it in the past. Whereas the Cardinals look to me to be a team that believes they're already good. Their scheme is already good. And all they needed was for their guys to be healthy. And as long as their guys were healthy, they were going to be able to explode. I guess my point is I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs went and got better, whereas the Arizona Cardinals felt like they were already good. They just needed to remain healthy. And ultimately, they're right back in the position they didn't want to be in.
All right, let me follow up then with what you said about Andy Reid's offense and the way that it was constructed. Did anybody really see that coming, or was it just because they did indeed lose Tyreek Hill, the genius that Andy Reid is, he retooled the offense to still make it explosive?
Well, I think probably a little bit of both, right? I'm totally speculating, so I don't want, people to think that I have some like inside information. I don't know. I'm just totally speculating. But I think when you look at it, the NFL is a cyclical football game, right? Or it's really a game. And so what happens is you have everybody running the quote-unquote wishbone offense, right? So then what happens? Linebackers and defensive linemen get really big and strong. So then when those coaches start recruiting those big and strong linebackers, what do offenses do? They change and they spread teams out with smaller, quick guys who can now beat those real big guys in space. So what does the defense do? They adjust. And they get these super freak athletes that are like Isaiah Simmons, right? And now all of a sudden the offense has to adjust again. And now I think we're just in that type of period where where people are adjusting is they're saying, hey, now we're going to have really big receivers like Calvin Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins who are really big, and they can also run. Julio Jones, we saw make a big play last night. But now you're starting to see tight ends become even more of a hybrid. Now you're seeing tight ends who can play wide receiver. They can play inline tight end. They can get in the backfield and play a pseudo, fullback H-back, but they can split out wide and play wide receiver. Think about a guy like Curtis Hodges for Arizona State fans, right? That was a guy who was a pretty kind of decent player here at ASU, played at Mountain View, but in the NFL is perfect for that game. That was an undrafted free agent who made the team with the Washington Commanders. Why? Because he's a 6'7" pseudo wide receiver who can run and he can block, but he can play big boy football, right? Make those contested catches, those one-on-one catches against linebackers who aren't as physical or as fast as him, and against DBs who aren't as tall as him. So to me, this is just Andy Reid moving along with the times and moving along with where the matchups are going, and that's what football is. Identifying your best matchup and exploiting it over and over and over again.
He's Rudy Carpenter joining us here on Fox Sports 910. Rudy, if you were a professor and you're grading what you saw from Kyler Murray, what kind of grade do you give him on this first game of the season?
Well, I thought he played all right. To me, I think it's like a B grade. I mean, look, okay. I know people maybe don't like to hear that because it's Kyler Murray and he contributed to a lot of the BS that went along this season, and it wasn't like, he lit the world on fire yesterday. But, at the end of the day, he had almost 100 quarterback rating. I think he was like 22 for 34 or something. He had 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions. I mean, you would have liked, in my view, to see Kyler play better, considering that the Kansas City Chiefs, in my view, have, their defense is not one of their strengths. And if you look at their defensive backfield, they completely revamped their entire defensive backfield, I believe all 4 positions. And so you would like to see Kyler Murray torch that team. But again, in the NFL, where the parity is just, teams are it's just so similar with the parity in the NFL and the talent. When you're missing the amount of players that they did yesterday, or you're replacing the amount of players they had to replace yesterday, it's just really, really, really difficult to execute and to be able to compete and win at a high level against a good football team. And I think that's what you heard yesterday was they just had a lack of execution.
Rudy, where have you seen the major growth in what Patrick Mahomes? Watching him yesterday, I was just very impressed with just watching him and the way he handled things. What impressed you about him, so far, and just in that game yesterday?
Well, I think in the game specifically yesterday, I think we'll see how it plays out throughout the course of the season, right? But one of the things that makes Patrick Mahomes so great is his ability to stretch the football field and take chances with the football and be able to make throws that most people can't make, right? And then what it comes down to is does he have the discipline enough to pull back when the situation doesn't call for him to be that aggressive? And there's been times in his career where he hasn't been able to do that. But when you watch the game yesterday, he was dang near perfect. He was 30 for 39, I believe, 360 yards or something. What do you have, 5 touchdowns?
Yeah.
No interceptions. It looked like he just had the ball on a string and to put that thing wherever he wanted to so effortlessly. But what impressed me the most yesterday, again, was just his decision-making. I thought it was really, really good. It looked like he was just in such command of the football game yesterday.
Rudy, as always, thanks for joining us on Monday. Look forward to catching up again next week.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Rudy Carpenter joining us here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. It's driven by All City Towing. As we talk about every day, All City Towing. They continue to grow, and they are hiring like crazy. Go to allcitytowing.com and get on board. Full-time positions, incredible benefits. They got a 401k program with a generous company match. The fastest way to apply is online at allcitytowing.com. Just search careers. That's allcitytowing.com. Coming up, former Cards receiver Frank Sanders will give us his weekly grade on this Cardinals offense after yesterday's loss to the Chiefs. That's next, right here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on Fox Sports 910 and on the iHeartRadio.
Behold, here's what's trending on Fox Sports 910 Phoenix.
Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury gave injury reports today. He says defensive lineman J.J. Watt and offensive lineman Justin Pugh are day-to-day with their respective injuries. Kingsbury said wide receiver Rondell Moore is day-to-day. Cornerback Marco Wilson's doing better from his leg injury. The Diamondbacks take the field against the Dodgers for the first time since late May. Brian Nelson toes the rubber for his second straight start. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is calling on Russia to accept the White House offer of a prisoner swap involving Brittany Griner. I'm Rich Johnson on Fox Sports 910, available everywhere on the free iHeartRadio app.
This is the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
Look for those lows dropping down into those upper 70s. A pretty good chance of some rain for tonight. And then tomorrow, slight chance in the morning, making way for mostly sunny skies and temperatures topping out at around 96. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Ty Brennan.
This report is sponsored by Taco Bell. Your burrito prayers have been answered. Taco Bell's double steak grilled cheese burrito is back with that juicy steak smothered in nacho cheese with a 3-cheese blend that's grilled on top. At participating U.S. Taco Bell stores for a limited time only. Hours and participation vary. Double the steak claim as compared to the steak quesadilla.
Rock for WrightToyota.com. At Wright Toyota, they'd like you to get to know them. Their goal is to make buying your next vehicle the kind of experience that earns your recommendation to family and friends. They invite you to use all of their innovative web tools on WrightToyota.com. So if you're looking for a new or pre-owned Toyota, head to their interactive website at WrightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection, all at WrightToyota.com.
Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's Monday Night Tailgate at the new Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues to be the best football promotion in the Southwest. Win cash just for watching the game. There are so many ways to win, like the popular Kickoff Challenge with a progressive jackpot, football bingo, props, and quarter squares, all for cash. The best part? It's free to attend. So make plans to join us this Monday at the CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona.
Are you ready for week 2 of Thursday Night Football?
Frank's ready.
Week 2 of touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. Want more action? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. It's simple. Bet on LA or Kansas City to win. If your team leads by 7 at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code 910 to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code 910 only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and over, Arizona only. Gambling problem, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Bonus issued as free bets. 1 early win token issued at opt-in. Moneyline bets only. Deposit and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code SPORTS for a special offer when you sign up. That's code SPORTS only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
He played 8 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals. The Sandman.
It is caught. Touchdown, Auburn! Sanders caught it! Touchdown, Auburn! Touchdown, Auburn!
Frank Sanders joins Calling All Sports with Roc and Manuch. Now on Fox
Guys are out.
Sports 910.
That's right. Frank Sanders joins us now on the Right to It guest line.
Woohoo!
Frank, you have some cleats laying around. Can you still catch? You got some gas still in that tank? Yeah.
Look, they need jet fuel.
Yeah, they do. What is yours? Kerosene?
No, they need jet fuel. Like they literally played like they had lawnmower octane in there. And that's not good. You need to, the way the other team came out and played, they looked like they had rocket fuel, and we was out here on some 83 for $4.22 gas. It looked bad. It was not pretty.
What part of bad? What is it that you really had heartburn with?
Just the ability not to match the speed. Just not to match the speed. Like, I mean, there was. It literally looked like they were week. The Kansas City Chiefs were playing in week 12, and Arizona Cardinals were playing in the preseason game. Mm-hmm. That's the sad part about it. It really looked like they just were playing in week 12. They were a full, ready to go machine, and we looked like we was trying to still figure it out from the leaving preseason practice.
You know, Frank, I thought lack of adjustments, and we can talk about lack of preparation, all the above, but I thought that, here's Cliff Kingsbury in his 4th year and absolutely no adjustments to counter that offense or even that defense of the Kansas City Chiefs with his offense.
I mean, we don't want to talk about that this early. Like we don't want to dive in that this early, Manuch, because I know you got a list of things that you would have side adjusted on, and you'd have checked at the line of scrimmage and things like that. I will say this here though, there's some things that happen when you lose. And this is what you get to learn when you lose. You learn mentally, physically, and emotionally what happened. Mentally, was I prepared for the game? Was I ready to go against a top tier NFL football team that has won the AFC Championship multiple times, that has a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a head coach that knows how to play, as well as call plays and get his guys ready to play. That's the mental side of the game that these guys got to learn, as well as the coaches. You can hear Cliff come into the locker room and say the things that he needs to say. You hear him talk about, hey, we just got out-coached. These guys, they were more prepared. That's that. But the physical side of the game, those guys dominated us physically. They literally outplayed us on every level of a facet of the football game. And that's something that these guys will have to go back and look at themselves get themselves emotionally ready to play another high-powered, quality football team, and realize that we were not ready mentally, emotionally, or physically to play the Kansas City Chiefs. And that doesn't make sense, but that has to be answered from top to the bottom.
And Frank, to counterpoint that, let me give you an example. You come out in the opening of the third quarter, and you got 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, very manageable. You have the corner that's walked up to your right side. And to your point about my side adjust, I'm aware. I look to my right and go, okay, I see he's there. If he's coming, I've got to get rid of it. To not even check, look over there. And when you catch it, you're looking left versus, scanning the field. Those are coaching points or preparation that Kyler Murray's got to understand. When that guy's walked up in the box on the outside of the defensive end or in between him, I'm alert. Hey, warning Will Robinson. I'm coming. If not, I'm coming. I got to go outside. You see what I'm saying, Frank? Being totally unaware of what's going on the field, what's happening. Preparation.
Hey, this is the philosophy that says you need reps, and you can't just get them in practice. You need the preseason. That's the reason why we have the preseason, so you can get yourself up to game speed to seeing what teams are trying to do against you. That's the difference. And I think that I'm not going to say that the preseason is the end all, the be all, and you can't still be a successful team. We saw the exact opposite of that last year when those guys came out and they still went 8-0 with a run, and most of those guys didn't play in the preseason. But it just goes to show you that teams are figuring you out now, Tyler. Teams are figuring out your offense, Coach Cliff, and you need to realize that these guys need real-time action to be able to figure some things out. And I guess I'm not the head coach. I mean, this is a different day and age on how we play football and how these guys go out and get it done. It is week 1, but what we saw the other day, it looked like that's the team that we desire our team to be, and they were nowhere near close to that.
All right, let me follow up with this then, Frank, and that is when the Kansas City Chiefs looked at film on the Arizona Cardinals and what they saw from last season was exactly what they got in that first game. In other words, it appears that Kingsbury's staff didn't fix anything, didn't juggle anything, didn't correct anything from what we witnessed at the end of last season. Am I correct with that, or am I all wet?
You are wet, brother, and right at the same time.
Wet and right. Okay.
Nice.
I like
Take
it.
It's a double whammy right there.
Yes, a double whammy, brother. You sweating with furious anger that realized that, man, this is some BS. You should have made adjustments.
Yes.
And you guys didn't. And I think that's the part where I say it's our offense is our offense, and we're expecting to have playmakers to go out and make plays in this offense. And I guess, look, the college philosophy in this type of offense works well because you have your top 5 players that can beat the other team's top 3 players. And that's coming from the mentality of, when you're playing Big Ten football or college coaches, they take their best players and they figure their best players can beat your 3 and 2 stars. Well, this NFL, you have to make multiple adjustments while things are happening on the fly. And it looked just like the Kansas City Chiefs. They had the plays. They knew exactly what we were doing defensively. Look, they looked ready for everything we threw at them. Yep. And I'm going to say this here. Vance Joseph called a really good game versus what he thought he could do against this team. He brought pressure from left and right. Mm-hmm. He had guys stunting and dogging and twisting, guys standing up. They looked like an enigma out there in their defense. Guys are moving around. But that offense knew exactly what we were doing on every side adjustment they made, dumping the ball off to the running backs in the flats, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hand pretty fast, crossing routes, rub routes. They couldn't miss. They were on all cylinders versus us. And again, this is a system that, we don't have all our players. That's the sad part about it right now. And I guess this is the part that we can't see how effective this offense can be when we have guys that are injured consistently. We got a top tier receiver who's out for 5 more games.
Yep.
And it just wasn't pretty the other day. And we all had a chance to look at a real good offense with some real good coaches come out and just literally dominate the Arizona Cardinals as a whole.
Frank Sanders joining us here. Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, Fox Sports 910. So what's next? I know it's only game 1, but they have a lot of work to do, don't they, for for this team to head on the road, and they played well on the road last year. But going into Vegas, they need a win as well.
Look, what's next is still figuring it out for realizing that you got another tough opponent that's coming and ready to play on all cylinders again. The sad part about that is that we don't have a whole bunch, unless a bunch of guys come back off IR or guys come off off the injury list and get ready to play. Then this could be another ugly showing for the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, and on top of that, I think what I hear you saying, Frank, is if you can practice all you want, but if you ain't got the horses, it's going to be tough to run the race.
It's going to be very tough, man. Look, we know for a fact that Oakland, our first 3 games of the season was not NFL friendly at all. Definitely not with the intent that we were going to make it back to get back to the show pretty fast. But it's a long road, and the guys will get some guys back. Hopefully, they'll get some guys back this week, and they'll give themselves a chance to compete. We do good on the road. I can say that. That's the caveat, Rock, that we do absolutely good on the road compared to what we do at home.
Frank, were you surprised that Dortch ended up being the go-to guy?
Dortch has 3 preseason games under his belt. I am not surprised because he showed us what he could do in the preseason. It was versus 1s and 2s a little bit, mostly 2s, but he showed that he can get open. He wasn't afraid to handle the spotlight. That's what we talked about last week was that, look, I just hope that him or Andy Isabella will rise to the occasion because they've had a chance to get out there versus 1s and 2s and get 3 and 4 quarters underneath their belt.
3 minutes.
And he went out and played and realized that he can actually go out and make plays in the NFL on this level.
I think that the 2 guys I was interested in, Frank, that didn't see the ball a lot, obviously Zach Ertz didn't see the ball a lot, and then A.J. Green didn't see the ball quite a bit as well either. I just wanted your thoughts watching A.J. play, what you feel in watching him as he progresses throughout the rest of this year.
I think A.J. got some pop. I think his legs are fresh, but our offense just does not feature him.
Yeah.
There's nothing about our offense that features him. He's definitely the number 3 and 4 in the scheme. You can tell how when Kyler drops back, unless it's something that he really wants to try to get the ball to him, he looks centered and he goes back right immediately.
2 minutes.
But again, A.J. Green played on the right side of the football field 97% of the time. That's the problem with our offense. There's not a bunch of movement. Guys is pretty stagnant. They're sitting in the same position. And I feel like our offense doesn't feature him. So I don't expect a lot out of him. I think his legs are fresh. I think he's ready to get out and play. I don't think we're doing a real good job of using him with his skill set. And Zach Ertz is another situation. Look, our game plan was not solid enough to be attacking. I felt like we wanted to run a game plan, but not necessarily attack with our game plan. Those are 2 different mentalities that you have as a coach. You're literally setting guys up. You're putting guys in motion and moving guys around to specifically find players that you want to attack. And that's what we saw. We saw them move guys around to attack Isaiah Simmons. They literally moved guys around specifically to attack our linebackers.
Yes.
With short routes and short passes to get the ball out of their hands, underneath routes and rubbing routes. And so that's the difference in what we saw. I would like to see more out of our offense, but it doesn't. And unless Kyler specifically has these guys are the number 1 and 2 looks in the play calling, Rock, those guys are number 3 and 4 in the system.
Frankie, thanks for improving the program today, man. We appreciate it. Thanks for your time, Frank.
Hey, it's good to hear your voice, man. Welcome back to the party.
Well, football season's here. I got those 3-day weekends, now that football's here and we're out at Casino, Arizona, which we got to get you out of here one of these days. And I know if we do have you here on a Saturday, or Monday night, we'll have to order some extra Sharpies because I'm sure you'll run out fast.
I look forward to that, brother. Next
Right.
time you want me, let me know.
All right. Thanks, buddy. That's Frank Sanders joining us here on the Right to the Guest line out of Casino, Arizona. I do remind you the 15th annual Twin Peaks Fan Pick'em is back, powered by Blue Moon and Coors Light. Just pick each week's pro games for weekly man cards. Grand prize is either a trip to Hawaii or you can take the cash, which is 5G. So head to fanpick'em.com, fanpick'em.com. So does this Cardinals team need to practice better? You'll hear from the coach next. It's our Learner Row. One call, that's all on Fox Sports 910.
You can't say you're going to do it on game day and not do it in practice.
That's right.
That's Cliff. Team needs to practice better.
I don't get it.
Seems to be something we talked about quite a bit today.
I don't understand. You mean you're the head coach. You got to make sure your practice habits are practicing. You're playing a Super Bowl champ that was there on the precipice of knocking the door last year. You better be practicing and studying your butts off. I hear that and go, that's on you, Cliff. That's totally on you. This practice habits or lack thereof, and these games, these are on you, buddy. You need to get your act together on noticing whether they're practicing well or not.
Well, he could
Who's
have
in charge.
He could have some Allen Iverson in him. Practice.
Oh my gosh!
About practice.
I mean, it just drives me nuts. How about we practiced our asses off. We didn't make the adjustment we were supposed to. They're a good team. We just got to do a better job. How about in-game adjustments, or how about a better job of coaching my guys up and getting them ready for games?
You got to remember, he spent some time with Belichick. We're never going to get anything out of him.
Well, that's true. I get that.
It's the same press conference, win or lose.
Yeah.
He's going to compliment the other team over and over and over, and he did. And he will do that.
He was right on
every
time.
single week. That's who he is.
Yeah,
he's a good football coach. Let's just see if he can get through this. I mean, it's game one. That's it. As Jimmy said as we started the show, it's only game one. I think we all know that. And season's a long season, and we all knew that they were going to have trouble with Kansas City. I think all of us knew today we were going to talk about an 0-1 team, but we did not think we were going to talk about a team that looked just so dismantled. It's so many assets from offense, defense, just name it. I think special teams are all right. But aside from that, it's not a good football team right now.
No, they were so out of sorts that I think everybody, like watching that game, just looked at it and went, what the hell?
Yeah.
I expected, like we all did on last week, we all indicated we all liked the Chiefs to win. But we expected a competitive game, and it wasn't competitive at all.
Or if you're going to not play your guys and save them and put them in bubble wrap, to expect them to compete at that level with team.
Good point.
I get it. And I understand you were injured. A lot of guys were hit and missed and injured, whatever. But still, if you see what's coming and your guys are not practicing from that particular standpoint, then you're the head coach. You got to take care of that, which leads me to our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day. What was the most disappointing aspect of yesterday's loss to the Chiefs? You can still go to @Roc and Manuch on Twitter and vote. Was it the inept defense, the inept offense, team preparation, or the coaching? Well, number one in the clubhouse is team preparation at 59.1%.
Yep, that's what I went with.
That's what I did.
All right.
And inept offense was second, and inept defense was third. Coaching 4.5%. This team was just not ready to play that game.
All right, let's get on to what's on tap tonight.
What's on tap, powered by 72 Soul. A look at the top sports action tonight on TV. Get our price, a higher price at 72soul.com.
All right, Dodgers are in town. Hate to say that. D-backs, Valley Sports, Arizona, 640. Dodgers will be here today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Let's hope that they don't clinch on Wednesday and decide to kind of take advantage of getting some swimming in.
Hit the pool
in
again.
the pool. Yeah, let's
with their
hope that's not the
snorkels,
case.
their fins,
Yeah.
their masks.
Atlanta and San Francisco, 6:45 on the Major League Baseball Network. But, of course, we're out here at Casino, Arizona. Broncos, Seahawks, 5:15, ESPN. Come on down. Join us. Win some cash just for watching tonight's game. And if this thing turns into a blowout, you can always jump over to Channel 12 and watch the Emmys.
That's true.
What's on Tap is powered every day here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B by America's leading home selling program, 72 Sold. How can you not know by now that 72 Sold is the easiest way to sell your home for top dollar? So for the easiest, fastest, most profitable way to sell your home, head to 72sold.com. Get a higher price for your home. Go to 72sold.com.
Matter of fact, Succession is up for 25 Emmys. Have you watched Succession?
I've never
Great
seen
show. It is awesome. Up for 25 Emmys.
Is that on like HBO?
I think it's on HBO.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a great show. Hey, tomorrow, guys, speaking of the Las Vegas Raiders, Jason Horowitz, the play-by-play announcer, will join us. Manuch's clipboard report will break that down.
Oh, that's back.
That's right.
Oh,
Bob
man.
McManaman.
18th year.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
See, Jackson, Ben, you guys aren't familiar with Manuch's clipboard report. It is probably the worst segment we do each week.
To break down my QB.
Yes.
That one that was good.
There's no criteria to it. You don't need to be a former NFL quarterback to do it.
2 minutes.
You just throw out some quarterbacks, and if they did
you'll get the finer nuances.
Well or not.
You'll get the finer nuances. We'll dig the dirt out of the corner as to why they did good and why they did bad.
By the way, Manuch has a long history of being a clipboard holder.
That's right, man.
He still has it. Did you know that? See how a lot of people have like trophies on their mantle?
Sure.
He's got the clipboard. Right there. It sits there.
And I still got the wristband from the replacement games there as well, too.
There you go.
A split right, $9.99. That means all go. We'll split right running back. I'm airing that bad boy out.
Again, we're out here at Casino Arizona. It's our 22nd year of hosting Monday Night Football. Come on out and join us. We open our doors. They're open now. Got some familiar faces that are already here giving away the cash just for watching tonight's game. We do that with our jackpot kickoff challenge. We do it with our squares. We do it with our props. We do it with football bingo. We do it halftime with cornhole. It's a great promotion, and you get to see Jax working tonight. So finally you get to see Jax doing some promo.
About damn time.
These young guys just want to be on the radio. That's all. But they got to realize they got to earn their stripes by doing some of the grunt work, like promotions in radio. That's what gets you to the top. Right, Manuch?
Absolutely, man. We've been doing this. This will be my 30th year doing this. It's been doing this since 1992. With you, Rock, 18 years.
So many people that would wish you have retired.
I'm not going anywhere. Just memo to everybody. I am.
Hey, our entire promo schedule, everything we're doing, like the contest for the grill,
right?
Where you text Peaks to 55678. Everything's up on our website at rockandmanuch.com. Plus, you can hear the show. We're now streaming thanks to Jax on YouTube,
10 seconds,
Twitter, Facebook. Those three. Right next is TikTok. It's all coming up. See you tomorrow.
Good night.